Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 376th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call, we have Andy Patterson and Ozzy Smith, going live on YouTube from 8 p.m. every Sunday evening. The Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everybody time travelling throughout the week, listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's have a look how many are in the chat there. Oh, just knocking on there about 13,000. They're all desperate to hear what we have to say tonight. Matthew Russell's there, MB, Jim McDonald, Jason Chuckworth from the beginning, Alan Willey, Paul Raftery, Trading Leather Boxing, Banana Rama from across the pond, Tosh Bear Grills, Malone is there as well. Just flicking up here, boys. Make sure we give everybody. Alan's there too. That's everybody now. Paver, welcome to you, sir. Okay, boys, how are you, Ozzy, this week? Keeping well?
Yeah, mate. Same old. Just getting on. Still working. Yeah, just chilling out. We keep on going, don't we? Measures are getting lifted seemingly more often now, so slowly getting back to normal.
Back to normal indeed. Swaggy Taggy's jumped in. That's the norm on a Sunday evening. Terry Woodfine as well. First time I've seen Terry knocking about. Andy, how are you getting on? Are you okay?
I'm fine, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too bad at all, Andy. I was just thinking there, I know you were asking earlier about the fight to review this week. I believe we said we were going to have another look over the Ricky Hatton Tszyu spectacular from 2005, 15 years ago.
I like that one slide, mate. I forgot all about it. Actually, knew you mentioned it. Actually, I should remember seeing all the tweets I was seeing was Billy Graham, Ricky. I think I've seen a few articles now about Tszyu and stuff. So, yeah, that one slipped me by, actually, in honesty. But I should be able to go off, some memories and that. I remember being up what was it, 3 a.m. start, that was it?
Yeah.
Christ, every days.
Those are the days indeed, yeah. Well,
they were actual days where I actually bought pay-per-views or went to a mate's house, maybe chipped in with, a few cans and stuff like that. Back in the very rare days when I bought pay-per-views.
Yes, don't buy too many pay-per-views myself. I remember I used to go around with my friend Chris Corey, shout out, and if Chris still listens to the pod or not, used to go around and watch the fights, Calzaghe Hopkins, Calzaghe Jones, who watched those ones, went around and watched Khan McCluskey. I remember staying up to watch Lacey Calzaghe. That was late at night as well. I must admit, I do buy a pay-per-view if I'm covering it for the paper. So if I'm covering it for the Sunday Life or whatever, I do buy the pay-per-view, because the worst thing you want to happen is if you're on a deadline and you're sitting on some dodgy stream and all of a sudden it cuts out, you're fucked basically, aren't you? So I must admit, I do buy the pay-per-views if I'm covering it on a professional basis. So that will be my mea culpa. Right, let us move on then, boys. A few points of interest just to start off with. Slim pickings as always. We are Boxing Podcast here to offer a bit of light relief for you all. First thing, Ozzy, I know I'm hitting you out the blue with this one a little bit, but Johnny Garton retires from boxing, 33 years of age, Londoner, former British champion at welterweight. He did have a rematch with Chris Jenkins lined up, but Garton, he dropped a decision originally back in March 2019. He decided against a ring return and has instead decided to hang up the gloves. Bit of a shame there. I was looking forward. I think they were going to maybe talk of putting him in with Conor Benn at one point.
They did, yeah, and I think this is probably one of your, if you can probably dub him high profile from a domestic perspective, but one of your first high profile victims because of the lockdown. Had it have not been for the lockdown, Johnny Garton and Chris Jenkins would have already boxed for a second time. But obviously, because it all came in, everything was suspended. He's on the wrong side of 30 type of thing. He's only getting older. He's got that style from where he takes shots to give shots. And maybe he's just thought, you know what, I've had my time. I've overachieved, without a doubt. I think he's probably openly honest. I honestly admit that winning a British title was a massive over-expectation. But that's what boxing's all about. And fair play to Johnny Garton, because he did a tremendous job. I actually thought Gary Corcoran, who he beat for the British title, would have too much for him, but he battered him, absolutely battered him. Brilliant stoppage. I think it was late on in the 11th or 12th. I always felt Jenkins would have a bit too much for him. I rate Jenkins, very good boxer, and it showed in that fight. They talked him up for Conor Benn, and I thought it was a winnable fight for him, to be honest, because look, Benn, we know that he's quite raw, and maybe someone like Garton would have just been able to old man him, take him into deep waters, boring him with the head, make it difficult for Conor Benn, stuff that he's not had before. But as I say, I think he's become one of the first victims of the lockdown. and he's just decided to call it quits now rather than, potentially waiting another 6 to 8 months where, he's got to watch his diet and who knows, I don't know what, his financial situation's like, but he's decided to walk away now. So, yeah. So they were talking up a Conor Benn, Chris Jenkins fight. Obviously, they had this signed and agreed. Garton's now walked away. There's no reason why, I guess, why the Benn Jenkins fight can't happen. Obviously, it's a different conversation to decide whether Benn deserves a British title fight, but there was one obstacle in the way that's now been removed. So who knows what the future holds? But no, back to the original point. Fair play to Johnny Garton. A bit of a surprise, but what a good career he's had.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason Chukwu saying Johnny Garton did a better job on Gary Corcoran than Jeff Horn. Yeah, we are going through the tournament later on. We're on to the welterweights. Fair play to Jason Chukwu. He sent me the names this morning. Yeah, bless him. Chukwu does his best. He sends me about 26 messages on a Sunday morning, and he sends me a group of names. Then there's a group of caveats of, and then he's like, maybe add so-and-so. No, we'll take so-and-so out, and then we'll add this other guy in. And honourable mentions, they all come through. By the end of it, I haven't got a clue who he's got in or got out. So I've got 8 fighters together anyway. Hopefully I've done you proud there, Chukwu. I've included a few favourites that you were desperate to get in. We'll be doing that tournament a little bit later on. A couple of guests as well to be thrown in. Dan Hewitt has jumped into the chat. There was somebody else. MB as well. Good to see MB here. He knows his stuff, knows his boxing, which is always a plus. Take Ames, hello to you. John Bennett as well, throwing in some knowledge. And a couple of deaths, actually, Andy, this week. We don't like to hear a death, but Curtis Cokes, aged 82. Quick thing on Cokes there, won the WBA title, unified with WBC as well, way back in the 60s, 66 this was. And then he lost his titles to the imperious Jose Napoles in 1969. Retired in 1972 with 80 fights under his belt, with a 62, 14 and 4 record, 30 knockouts. And Pete Rademacher as well. Won the gold medal in the 1956 Summer Olympics in Melbourne. He's famous, obviously, for making his pro debut in a world title fight against Floyd Patterson. Ended up with 17, 6 and 1 record. So Rademacher and Curtis Cokes leading us. Andy, if you have anything to say about either of those guys, or we shall move on.
Yeah, just you mentioned Curtis Cokes. I seen Jose Napoles both fights up my YouTube channel actually about 2 weeks ago. Very tough fights. I think he forced to kind of was pulled out in both fights. Took a lot of punishment, and that was when Napoles was really coming into his pomp. Rademacher, actually, that one actually missed me. Actually, again, I've not been kind of keeping up much with the news this week and stuff. But yeah, he was the one that kind of after won the Olympic gold fought pro debut.
Floyd Patterson, yeah,
pro debut, sad losses, I suppose. Ex-Olympic champion, American as well. Was it 56? I think McTaggart, the one for Scotland or Britain at the time as well, around about that era, yeah. So, yeah, big loss. I think he actually came from Scandinavia, actually, like some sort of ancestry as well for Scandinavia, I'm sure.
Yep, could well be. Aussie, moving on, Dobson Box Bet has thrown in this week. He wants to know if we will be discussing the pay-per-view spectacular, which we did mention a few weeks ago. Mariusz Wach against Kevin Johnson. Big Time Boxing is back on June the 12th in Poland. I think you worked it out, Aussie. It was going to be about £3. £3 well spent, in my opinion. We're definitely going to be all over that next week.
Yeah, it's come up quick, hasn't it?
Yep.
God, it seems like a little while ago when we were talking about that. But yeah, I'm guessing it's still going ahead. Trying to think, will it be the first major boxing show that's happened since the lockdown? Or
I would say so. I know we went to Nicaragua, didn't we? Yeah, I'd say it probably is.
It will be. Nicaragua had nothing much to offer, isn't it? I think Costa Rica's been putting some fights on, nothing.
I mean, look, yeah, this isn't exactly a tremendous fight, isn't it? It doesn't get you, staying up or whatever like that. But yeah, I think I'm sure I worked it out. It takes about £3 or £4 or something. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it. Whack should win. I'd be very surprised if he didn't. He put in a valiant display against Dillian Whyte.
I forgot about that. That was in Dubai, wasn't it?
It was,
wherever they fought Saudi, yeah.
I mean, God knows if they've been sparring. I mean, Johnson doesn't really need to, does he? Who knows? I mean, yeah, you would suspect Whack would win. I see it definitely going the distance. They can both more than take a shot. Look, I think it'd be fair to say if Kevin Johnson did win, it probably would be an upset at this stage of the careers. But yeah, maybe a big win over Johnson might get Whack back in the title mix.
Wouldn't surprise me. Frezequendo's still knocking about. Old Kingpin is one of these guys who's getting towards the stage of his career where he should probably think about hanging up the gloves. Banana Armour mentioning, top ranker running on Tuesday and Thursday. We've mentioned Shakur Stevenson the last couple of weeks, so I'm not even going to bother mentioning that. I will have a look in to see. I don't think it's been televised in the UK or anything, but I will look in to see exactly what went down. Will be quite interesting, I suppose. See Shakur Stevenson shaking off the rust. See how he gets on. I left it a bit late last week to thank our Patreon subscribers. I'm going to shout them out during the show, starting with the first batch right now. Then Andy will come into you, talking about Estrada, Chocolatito and Inoue. I know that was mentioned on Boxing Scene. First of all, then, let's mention some of the guys who make the show happen, keep us going. Martin, Joe Kennedy. I haven't seen Joe in the chat actually yet. Ted Barrett, Danny Young, one of the friends of the pod who comes on quite regularly. James Bernard, Gav, David Doyle. Nathan Newman, Chris Ansell, Owen Spillane, Jasper, John Swan, Ryan, the Real Deal, Jason Cheel, and Daniel Adams. Good lads yourself. Another group coming up shortly. Estrada then, his trainer Andy, aims for Chocolatito, does not rule out an Inoue fight. It's all happening. I think Estrada Chocolatito, the return, would be something I would definitely be interested in.
Yeah, I think obviously with Gonzalez coming back with that good performance against Shafai. And obviously as well with Estrada kind of coming back and winning the rematch against what's he called, Rungvisai. Plus he's been on a pretty much a good run actually. He's beat Quadras as well. Obviously that's another thing that Gonzalez has got one over him as well. He's had that toughish wins against like Hernan Marquez. He's had his injury problems as well. I think Estrada. Obviously I think Gonzalez has had problems with his knee and stuff like that as well. So obviously. Don't know what he is now. He must be well in his 30s. I wouldn't say well, but definitely been in his 30s now, Estrada. But Chocolatito's 32 now. I mean, if it's going to happen, obviously it's going to happen this year, I would think. Guys are kind of relatively, obviously, slightly past their primes. But Gonzalez is. We'll just need to see what Estrada's going to be like, actually. He's not really kind of had a kind of... When was the last time he fought, actually? Was it middle last year, I think it was? So yeah, you would think maybe Estrada might want some sort of tune-up, maybe 8-rounder or something like that. Gonzalez might be happy to wait and just kind of take the fight straight up. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. What was the mention about Inoue again? Estrada was talking about fighting him.
Inoue could soon follow, I think, possibly for the winner. I wonder whether with Gonzalez, Andy, it could be one of those cases. I'm struggling to think off the top of my head actually of an example, but when you think a guy's done and he gets written off, and then all of a sudden 3 or 4 years later he's still fighting at the highest level, you do get people. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but
Duran done it.
Yeah, well, Duran. Even recently there was someone. Yeah, Derry Matthews went through a bad stage of his career. Do you remember when he came up? He was like a rakish super bantamweight, and he had all those WBU defences. Then he suddenly started getting knocked out, and then he still had this mad career for about the next 5 or 6 years.
I had like pretending to get cuts and broken noses and stuff, and get stopped stupidly. But yeah, he come back, had like a decent career. He had. So I think he got high up in the rankings, I think, for a world title shot, but I don't think he ever got it. He won the British outright, did they know?
We're on about Derry Matthews.
Yeah.
He beat Tony Lewis, didn't he? A bit of a controversial decision for, I think it was, was it the regular?
The WBA interim or something.
I
knew
there was something, that's what it was.
Hands of Stone, that's right, yeah.
That's right. So, but back to the other topic, but anyway, I mean, if Estrada beats Gonzalez, it would be the ideal biggest pay fight for Estrada out there. In terms of size and that, I really don't know. I think obviously Gonzalez and Estrada are basically topped out. They're at their kind of maximum weight for guys, especially Gonzalez past his prime. At this point, Inoue, I think would probably blast through Gonzalez. Estrada might be a wee bit different case, but I just think again size might be a different matter. We've seen what Inoue's been like with these guys, that he's going through them like a hot knife through butter. So yeah, at this point, I can see Inoue probably stopping both. Maybe Gonzalez slightly quicker, but we'll wait and see. But no, certainly Gonzalez Estrada rematch December. Early next year, yeah, maybe sign up for that one. And if get the restriction lifted, get into America, who knows? I might make a wee travel across for it.
Yes, Jason Chukwu, Derry Matthews talking about Tony Luis. Tony Luis infamously came on the podcast. He was a nice guy, but Gabe asked him a question about why he couldn't basically break an egg. He wasn't a big puncher. Tony didn't really take it too well. So Tony, hands of stone, Luis. Maybe we'll get him back on the pod at some point. Do you remember that, Andy?
I do remember that actually, because you can see Gig kind of kept talking, trying to talk his way through this shit.
Luis was crying like a little bitch.
God. We need to get Gable. I need to remind him about that, actually.
Yes, maybe Gabe will come on tonight. Who knows? Talking of future fights, Aussie, Holt over on patreon.com/boxing asylum threw in a question for us. He said, what do you make of Dave Allen versus Hughie Fury being touted to take place in Eddie's back garden? If I saw Dave Allen versus Hughie Fury was happening in my garden, I'd close the fucking curtains.
Yeah, I would echo that view as well, to be honest. I thought it was being told that it can't happen in the back garden because it's too expensive for the back garden, so it needs to happen with a crowd. I don't know. I ultimately see it as too big a step up for Allen. I think he needs to go away, particularly after that heavy price defeat, and go on, work his way up from essentially area level is probably what he's really where he's at, maybe English level. Whereas Hughie Fury, again, I'm always a believer that he wiped out domestic level. He needs, some gatekeeper European level fights if they think he's as good as he is. I don't really know what the fight does for each other. I can see it being touted now purely for the fact that it's a domestic fight, and to get these people active and in meaningful fights, they've got to be taking not risks, but fights they may not necessarily be interested in. That's the only reason I can see it happening. Whether it does, I'm not sure, but it's not exactly one, you're banging the door down to get in to watch. It's a bit of nothing for me. I'd watch the highlights, but I can guarantee it'd be a 12-round bore, just drab fight, to be honest.
Aussie not excited by that one. The boys in the chat throwing in a few suggestions here. Lee the Alcoholic Frotch says Jean Pascal went from getting battered by Kovalev and presumed done, now still with the title while Kovalev looks finished. Yeah, Pascal's one of these guys. He's going to keep going, isn't he? He must be on the special Slim Fast.
Why? Maybe the hot sauce, who knows? But no, but there was definitely a cry for him to be Fighter of the Year last year, 2019, especially late doors, because obviously I think they gave the awards, was it like late November, early December, and he beat Badu Jack late December, and he beat Marcus Brown. So and that's coming off the Bivol loss as well. So
he beat that unbeaten guy, didn't he, Andy, as well? El Bialy or something. Pascal, didn't they? Do you remember he's like an Egyptian chap, I think.
Right. It must be a few years back then. Must be further back then. Because as I say, just based off those 2 wins last year against Jack and Brown, as I say, it's definitely. Again, if they just delayed it a wee bit, he would have definitely won Fight of the Year, I think, or comeback Fight of the Year, I should say.
Yeah, Andy, you're quite right. It was longer than I thought. It was December 2017, undefeated, 16-0, Ahmed El Bialy. I think they were throwing him in thinking that Pascal had obviously lost to Kovalev, he'd lost to Alvarez. There was maybe going to get a name on El Bialy's record, and he completely upset him, and then that got him the Bivol fight, and then, like you say, he went in against Brown and Jack, and he's looking as good as ever.
Right. He's also got one of those WBA belts as well, hasn't he? So...
Yes, he does. He has the WBA World title and the WBC Silver Light Heavyweight title, so he's rocking. I
would like to see him get I don't know what his intentions are. I mean, he's put us in 38, 39, 37, so you would think, surely he's going to have like one more fight, so I don't know, give him a farewell fight, top of the bill card in Canada somewhere. Because in the day, I think the Canadian scene's picking up a wee bit as well. So if he could top the bill, maybe like 1 or 2 bills, and maybe give the kind of other promoters and that with our fighters, or we kind of local guys and that, there is Canadian fighters and that coming up there. If you listen to Ryan Scalio's podcast with Jason Defexis, that you'll hear him talk about these fighters. So get them on undercards and that as well, with Pascal maybe leading the show.
Yeah, if you couldn't get a world title, what about a rematch against Kovalev or something like that?
Well, Pascal.
Yeah, he's already lost him twice, hasn't he? I think that's.
Yeah, but then what's Kovalev now? What's he got in a minute?
Probably a bruised liver and a headache.
Yeah. Swinging for a bottle of vodka. So he's, of course, he lost his belt to Canelo. So yeah, I mean,
it's not unrealistic. Look, I mean, if you're going off, the past couple of performances, you had Kovalev who wasn't far off being stopped off Anthony Ardano in that one round, and then was stopped by Canelo. Whereas Pascal is coming off 2 great wins against Brown and Jack. So if you're
Imagine
going
the
off-
scenes if Pascal fought Kovalev for a third time and beat him. Who would have ever thought that going back to 2016?
Yeah.
The thing is, so what I've got to say is, man, I'm just based it pure off the memory that the Badou Jack fight. I don't think Pascal is as active. You know how he used to kind of a wee bit like Huck, he was just kind of exploding into action. That he's not got the fast twitch muscles anymore. I don't think he's got that stamina as much as anymore. So part of his game is missing. So and Kovalev as well. I mean, we know if he could just put the pressure on Kovalev, he doesn't like it. And I think if Pascal could do it, he could maybe make Kovalev wilt, possibly.
Yeah, MB, Pascal, Icy's Canelo. Sorry, Ozzy, go ahead.
I was going to say I would watch it anyway. It's one that it's got you thinking already, hasn't it?
Definitely.
It's not one that you think, oh yeah, well, a third fight doesn't need to happen. But maybe it doesn't. But maybe like a farewell bout, or like a homecoming type of thing.
And if he wins, think about if he wins it in Canada, he's got a unification fight possibly. That's another
I
chance.
always thought he was made a bit wrong.
Who, Kovalev?
No, I always thought Pascal was a bit too top heavy, especially for
right. He's always been that way.
He was hopping around the 68 once then, wasn't he? Yeah.
Rapping Rob Kelly's jumped on the call. He ain't top heavy. How are you, Rob? You well, Rob? How's life treating you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I was fucking having a malfunction there. I was about to tell you I'll hit you back in a sec. Yeah, good, man. Good. Just got a good book tonight for me dad. He gave me that Tristics book, On the Road to Nowhere. I think it's centered around some kind of more obscure fighters, so I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that. Didn't get a chance to watch a whole lot of fights this week, to be honest with you. I don't know if we had one to review. So if we did, I hope I can review it from memory, because I haven't been watching any stuff.
It's Hatton, Tszyu.
Just what's that?
Hatton versus Kostya. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I think I heard a little bit about that fight since as well from Ricky. I've heard him mention it once or twice.
It was at the end of his WBU title reign.
Yeah, I think I've heard him mention that one once or twice. That's a quality fight. I remember watching it live actually. So yeah, we're happy to chat about that one, and just looking forward. They're doing a bit of a reopening in Ireland now. They're fast tracking the stages to reopen it, so all retail is back tomorrow, and we're hearing that we might be able to go back to playing AstroTurf, which is really going to keep everyone in my house alive for a lot longer if I have an outlet to get out and exercise. So that's going to be good. But other than that, just chilling, dude.
Absolutely, Rob, back on the AstroTurf, episode 376. Rob with us, Andy's with us, Ozzy's with us. The chat are enjoying themselves. That's the main thing, as always. So we had to go at Sky Sports last week. They were fucking up, putting in the biggest upsets and omitting some famous upsets. Something popped up on my YouTube this week. Sky Sports, top 10 most unbelievable boxing moments. And naturally, they left out Tyson biting off Holyfield's ear, small fry. A man on a fan entering the ring again. Why would you include something like that? But I'll give them their credit. They had some pretty interesting ones. I've got the top 10 here. So if you guys want to chime in on any of these, I'll read them out to you from 10 down. A couple of interesting moments from boxing. Number 10, Cello Render against Paul Samuels, the double knockdown. Do you remember that one, Andy? Both landed left hooks at the same time.
Remember that was the rematch, yeah.
I
remember that one, yeah.
Samuels' hair was epic. He had like a little tuft in the middle and like sort of crusty clown coming out the side.
Brilliant days.
Good times. Talking of hair, actually. Number 9, Paulie Malignaggi against Love More Undo on the Hatton Lascano undercard. That was number 9. Malignaggi went in with these sort of braid dreadlock things, and he had them stuck together with masking tape. And by the end of one of the rounds, they were just all over his face. He couldn't see. And of course, in between rounds, they got the scissors out, didn't they, and cut it off.
What a mess it was today. Just like obviously to try and get it off, we only had like 60 seconds to cut off. Was it no like long braids he had?
Yeah.
He tried to kind of get it more tied up, and we're just swinging all over the place and stuff. What a mess he was, man.
Lovemore did better in that fight than he got credit for, by the way. That fight was a lot closer than I had it on the cards. I still remember it now. Not that I've watched it back since or anything.
I actually watched the Cotto fight.
He pushed him all the way, didn't he?
He did, actually. He pushed Cotto all the way as well. Showed Cotto's gas tank problems again. Yeah.
He went the distance with Floyd as well, didn't he, I think?
I'm sure he did, huh?
Yeah, he had a good fight with Junior Witter, actually. Witter looked $1 million for the first few rounds, knocked him down once, maybe twice, and Undo pushed him and pushed him and pushed him. This was supposed to be Witter's he was in America. I can't remember whose undercard he was on. It might have been Hopkins Eastman, actually. But anyway, he was supposed to look good, and he was looking superb at the beginning. And then in the end, I think he ended up a majority decision. And Michael Buffer announced him as like the Commonwealth World Champion or something at the beginning. I'll have to go back and listen for that. But yeah, Undo, love more Undo, was a tough operator. Okay, I'm going to bring our first guest, Andy. Do you want to talk briefly? Maybe Ozzy can join you as well for number 8 in this list. Zab Judah going bonkers, trying to attack Jay Nady with a stool, everyone having to hold him. Do you remember the police had to get in after he got knocked out by Kostya? Go ahead.
Knocked out? Jesus, man, he got knocked to Pluto.
He did the chicken dance, didn't he?
Oh, what a shot that was! Just up he gets to it, and he's like he turns to the referee, and he's like starts pointing to him with his glove, and next bit he just staggers forward again, face plants himself, or walks right in the ring post. The ref fucking waves the fight off, and he's like, "No, dude, no, he can't stop the fight."
Yeah.
He's got him up with the throat and everything, trying to punch him.
Yeah, I was going to say, he fell face flat. It's like you've been in a boozer all night, and then you hit some fresh air, and your legs completely go from you. It was funny. It's one of those well-known videos, like little highlights, isn't it? That you see that, and he's had a couple of controversies, Judah, hasn't he, in the ring actually over his career. I remember when he
Floyd fight.
Yeah, that and the Amir Khan one, where he was adamant he got hit low and moaned about that, and it's like
refused to hand his belt over as well in the ring. Khan had to wait until he got the official belt sent to him by post.
Yeah, because he refused to hand it over, even in like the dressing room, things like that. But we'll bring Stevie back in anyway.
There you go, Steve.
Lovely job. Thanks very much, boys. Delighted to welcome our first guest of the evening, Kevin Agiarco. How are you, Kevin?
I'm good, thanks. I'm keeping well. Not too bad.
How are you finding things during the lockdown then?
Obviously it's been tough with everything being closed. You're not able to go to the gym and stuff and stay in shape, or you've nothing to look forward to because all the events are off. But thankfully I've just got news that I'm going to be fighting soon, so I'm back to camp tomorrow.
Lovely stuff. So if you keep the body active, you can keep the mind active too as well?
Yeah, definitely. I've been training all during the lockdown, but it's tough to motivate yourself when there's nothing ahead. There's no fight lined up, so it has been tough.
Yeah, you've got something to look forward to now. Is there anything else you can say, or is it all hush hush at the moment?
No, I think there's a couple of shows that are being talked about July, August. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but I've just been told to get back to camp, get into shape, and could be potentially fighting very soon. So I'm looking forward to going back to camp tomorrow.
Absolutely. Where is camp then? You're with Alan Smith, am I right?
Yeah, I'm with Alan Smith. So I live in Belfast, obviously, and I fly over to London for 8 to 10 weeks for training camps. So yeah, I'm with Alan Smith down at the iBox gym.
Just going back to the Belfast theme, obviously you're an excellent amateur, training Holy Trinity, Mickey and Harry Hawkins. Tell us a bit more about your amateur career.
Yeah, I had a great amateur career. Obviously, I boxed with for Holy Trinity for 14, 15 years as an amateur. That's where I started off. Won 6 national titles, represented Ireland at the Worlds and European, boxing at WSB. So I had a very good amateur background.
What about the WSB? It was the Italian Thunders, I think. How did that go for you?
That was good, yeah. For Italian Thunders, it was my first fight, and I ended up stopping the guy in the 4th round, so it was good. I put on a very good performance, and although I secured my spot with the Italian Thunders for the following year, I thought it was just the right time to turn pro. So,
yeah, would you see the WSB as maybe being a bridge between the amateurs and the pros for you?
Yeah, it definitely gives you that platform over 5 rounds. It's a bit more different than the amateur pace and stuff. So a lot of people who fight in the WSB get excited and they want to turn pro because they've boxing that.
Yeah, you obviously signed with Frank Warren now. What type of plans has Frank got for your career?
Yeah, it's been with Frank. We've just planned for four good fights this year, 5 good fights, all over 8 rounds. We're thinking about maybe fighting for a title very soon. So there's a couple of things in the pipeline.
Just to remind our listeners, Kevin Agyarko is on the call. Where can people follow your progress on social media, Kevin?
You can follow my progress on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook under Kevin Agyarko or Black Thunder.
Do you want to give a shout out to any sponsors or anything?
Yes, definitely. Give a shout out to Queensberry, Metro Recruitment, Henry Plumbing and Heating, JCM Limited, and O'Neill's Funeral Directors for supporting me and help build my career.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the one fight in Belfast so far. You'll be hoping to get a few more in at some point?
Yes, definitely. I was hoping I was meant to fight on the card front and on the card, which for the world title against Jared Hearn, which isn't going ahead. But I definitely hope to fight in Belfast more regularly this year.
Yeah, I would like to think so. It hasn't all been plain sailing for you. About 3 years ago, you were out and about minding your own business, and you got attacked and actually stabbed. Tell us the story about that.
Yeah, I just come back with a tournament in Paris where I won the gold medal. I was out celebrating the week after, but wasn't drinking or nothing because I had to fight the week after against America. And I left the club early. I was with my girlfriend, and we were waiting to get food at McDonald's, and just kind of a ruckus group of lads, about 30, started an argument for no reason, and one thing led to another, and ended up fighting and getting stabbed. So, still lucky to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, you described the incident as a bit of a crossroads where you could have become bitter and affected, but you didn't. It sort of led you to your current path.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've said before, I could have turned bitter, could have seek revenge and took matters into my own hands and stuff like that, and let it affect my confidence and not staying in the gym and stuff. But thankfully, I realised that I can make a career out of boxing, and it's motivated me to become a world champion. That's what I want to do. So I'm on the right path, and things are going well.
At one point, when things were negative, did you think that your career might even be over before it had even started?
Yes, definitely. Obviously, I got stabbed down the face and neck, so I didn't know if I would ever box again. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know how bad it was, or if it would ever open up again and stuff like that. So there was a few worries there whether I would box again and stuff like that. But thankfully, things have turned out well.
Absolutely. 6-0 now with 3 knockouts. Am I right?
Yeah, 6-0 with 3 knockouts. Yeah.
Lovely job. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday evening, Kevin. We do appreciate your time, and best of luck whenever things get back to normal.
No problem. Thanks very much.
All the best. Thank you.
All the best. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Kevin Agyarko there. Got it rough, Aussie. He's bounced back though. He's a proper fighter. I remember seeing him in the amateurs. He can scrap, and Frank sees something in him.
Yeah, I believe he's talented. I've only seen a couple of his fights. Like I said, I keep saying, Mug, if you compete in this WBS tournament, and he's made a solid start to his pro career. Has a bit of a dig, which always helps. Only young as well, 23. So there's no real rush. Good to see that they were, looking to get him 5 fights this year over 8 rounds, and then potentially push him on to, title contention after that. Obviously, now we're in June. I think those 5 fights will be well and truly out the window. But he probably strikes me as a person that the better the opponent, he will show his skills. I think that's probably fair to say, Steve, as well, with that amateur pedigree that he's got, that sometimes, these, knockover jobs, it can be difficult to get your, any sort of motivation for. But when you get the belts on the line and maybe a bit of a domestic scrap or something like that, plenty of fights going at middleweight. So no doubt Frank, again, looking at the young talent and has a promising career ahead of him.
Yeah, the Holy Trinity fairly dishes out the fighters. Damien Kelly fought there. Brian McGee used to box under Mickey Hawkins as well before he went to Bernardo Checker. Bernard Dunn obviously boxed out of there once he was based back in Ireland from America as well. Sean McComb boxed as an amateur there. Just trying to think of all the people that you see over there. I think Rory Dalton, who's a novice pro as well, was in there. Any other names off the top of my head? I'm sure there's many of them, but yeah, good grounding with the Hawkinses over there. Right, let's move back to our list then. You're on number 8. I believe I might have cut you off in your prime there, Andy. Zabjuda Kostya. I remember Yol trying to hold on to him, and then he sort of calmed down, didn't he, Zab? And then he thought to himself, "No, I'm not happy about this." And then he went mad again, tried to climb up the side of the ropes.
I need to go back and watch it again, but I remember, as it says, Jane Eddie just standing there and he's got like the out open glove up against his throat, he's trying to punch him, and he's getting pulled back and that.
You see Nady's face?
Brooklyn.
He's like, fuck off.
Oh, Jesus.
Zab was a fucking wild man. Zab Judah was an absolute wild man, and I think that kind of manifested itself in the ring that night. Apparently out of the ring, Zab was wild altogether. Like, I know a couple of people that know him pretty well. Give you an interesting story, actually, by the way, about Zab Judah and the late Tommy McCarthy. Zab Judah was one of Tommy Mac's favourite fighters, and I had his email address from some mailing list or something to do with hip hop or something to do with Zab Judah, because Zab Judah and his brother know my mate Memphis Bleak quite well. So I had his email address anyway. Long story short, I never contacted him myself, but sent it on to Tommy, and he reached out to him before he went pro, and he got back to him and everything, gave him some advice. So that was kind of a nice touch from Zab Judah, because obviously at that stage, who the fuck would, you know what I mean? A fighter from over here would be no one to him, but he took some time out to chat to him, so I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, definitely a crazy moment, man. Fucking hell. A fighter probably didn't, well, he won world titles and all, but probably didn't achieve his potential, Zab Judah.
No, absolutely. Zab was fast and he was one hell of a prospect. He gave Floyd trouble for the first 4 rounds. The thing is as well, Rob, you can see why he turned out so wild. If you look at a lot of the Mike Tyson stuff from the early 2000s, you know, when he's going mad at Lennox Lewis and all that, you see a young Zab Judah with a backwards cap is in the background more often than not in the Tyson entourage, isn't he?
Didn't he fight Junior Witter on the Savaries undercard?
Oh, I'm one of the worst fights of all time.
yeah. Witter took that fight late notice though, didn't he? I think he did.
That's right, yeah, he did.
Took it very late notice.
He just stunk the place out with it, didn't he? Kept grabbing
well,
him.
I think it was worse as well. It made it worse for the casuals, because they were all there to see Tyson, so the casual fans were all there to see some kind of barbarism, which they did see in a very brief moment against Lou Savaries. But when the two boys went to start shaping up against each other, the fucking boos were ringing out all over the place. Like, unbelievable.
Yes, talking of Tyson Savaries, it might turn up on our list. I know Rob might not have heard. I'm going through Sky Sports top 10 unbelievable moments, which is slightly better than the greatest upsets. It doesn't feature Tyson biting off the ear or the fan man, as I mentioned, but it does have some quite interesting ones. At number 10, we had Render and Samuel's double knockdown. I forgot. Number 9 was Paulie Malignaggi having his hair cut off, and obviously number 8 is what we're talking about, Zab Judah against Tszyu. Number 7 is a fighter that's been mentioned more times in the first few minutes than maybe ever on this podcast, Junior Witter, falling out of the ring in the prize fighter final against Yassine El Machi. I don't honestly remember this one, but Witter fell out the ring, hit into a cameraman. Bean started getting a bit excited, and Witter, to his credit, jumped straight back in again, Rob.
I was going on tour one time to Canada, and I was getting connector flights, so I can't tell you where exactly where I was. I was either in London or I was in Chicago, but I ran into Junior Witter at the fucking news agents, and one of his mates was like, "Fucking hell, Junior, Sudoku again." I don't even remember that, but I was cracking up laughing, like, because I was standing beside him, obviously copping who he was, like, and next to his mate goes, "Oh, fucking hell, Junior, Sudoku again." Oh, fucking brilliant. Yeah, probably more exciting than that fight though.
Yeah, Junior Witter was a Jekyll and Hyde character. He could be really boring and stink the place out and grab hold, but he could also be very exciting. I remember when he won the world title off Vivian Harris. I think it was on ITV, possibly. He could be explosive. He had power as well, and it's a shame that him and Ricky Hatton never fought one another.
He lost to Devin Alexander, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
it was a Timothy Bradley. Yeah, Devin
he
Alexander
lost to both of them. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought Junior Witter was a good fighter, man. I thought that fight would have been a massive domestic fight. That's probably one of the biggest domestic ones that got away since Canbrook, isn't it? Other than Canbrook, rather.
Yeah. Yeah, it should have happened really against Hatton. Number 6, this again is right up your street, actually, Rob. The riot between Riddick Bowe and Andrew Golota, one of my favourite. I know we always reference it.
I just watched it 2 nights ago. I was like, I'll take my mind off what's happening in the streets at the minute and just watch a riot in the ring, you know.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Golota, what an enigma, man.
Lou Duva getting carried out MSG on the stretcher, trying to get him up the stairs.
That was probably fucking overdue, that one.
No, he had numerous ones. He had numerous ones before that.
No, I think that was Golota. Like, it's just talk about the great white hope. Like he was the fucking epitome of it. He had all the tools, and for some reason, during the fight, he just fucking chuck it. Like just fucking jack it in, say fuck this, I'm going back to the dressing room. Fuck boxing. Like did the same against Tyson, sure didn't he? Like he quit against Tyson after one round, quit on the stool. I remember it wasn't Stormin Norman, but whoever his trainer was, it looked a lot like Stormin Norman, and he's basically said to him, "Your family are going to call you a disgrace if you don't get up off this stool and go back out and fight that man." And he was like, "Fuck you!" I'm sitting there. He's like, "Fuck that."
Am I right in saying, Rob, though, afterwards, or Andy might remember this, didn't it turn out that Golota had some problem with like a bone in his brain or something, and if he'd have kept on taking punches, he might have got badly injured?
Maybe we could have just said that afterwards either. I don't know. I mean, if I don't want to make fun of anybody with a brain injury or whatever. That's obviously super serious. Like, could have been something like that. There was definitely a short circuit there anyway. Without the fucking medical diagnosis, there's definitely a short circuit there for Golota. He could have a tear up. That fucking him and Bowe was a tear up before that, and he was getting the better of Bowe. Like.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
which takes a lot of doing, because he was a fucking, as much as he was a lazy git. He was a fucking hell of a fighter, Riddick Bowe. Brilliant fighter.
He's winning that fight clearly. I mean, to say that, we watched it a couple of nights ago. He's winning that fight clearly on the cards. And for just some inexplicable... What is it about? Is it because Bowe wouldn't fold? Or, it was not so much fold, but he just wouldn't go away. He just kept hitting him low for some odd reason.
There's no need for him to throw the last low blow either. It's like cruise, man. Go out, hold on, cruise. If he's getting the better, you take a knee even you're well up. Like,
just run if you want to. Just don't hit him low, for God's sake.
It's maybe he just had that fucking like Father Dougal with the red button. Like, whatever you do not press the red button. Like Golota, whatever you do, don't hit him low.
Yeah, I've got this up here. It wasn't quite as entertaining as I thought. It said it was eventually discovered that Golota was suffering multiple injuries that influenced his decision to not continue. At the hospital, it was discovered that Golota had suffered a concussion, a fractured left cheekbone, and a herniated disc during the fight. Golota left boxing for almost 3 years before returning in 2003. So there was something going on, but maybe it wasn't serious as I thought. Right, while I ring up our next guest, Andy, I'm going to throw out a few for you here, and you can pick whichever one you want. We've got all the boys can jump in as well. Number 5 was Eubank knocking out Dos Santos in about 10 seconds. Number 4 was the Joshua riot, after against Dillian Whyte after that first round, whenever they all jumped in the ring. And number 3 was Tyson, as we mentioned, taking out Lou Savarese and Wolverhampton's finest referee, John Coyle. Take it away.
I'm trying to remember that Joshua riot, if anyone can chime in with that one. But
fucking riot, a fucking spat after the bell with John the Banks. That was number 4, is it? Fucking hell.
Number 4? What happened? I'm trying to recall this.
So this was when Joshua and Whyte boxed for the British title, and one of them got Joshua hit Whyte after the bell.
Right.
I think it was Howard Foster who was the referee, was in the middle of them, and Whyte swung a huge overhand left over the top well after the bell. And it just imploded after that. Peter Sims got in.
Whyte was gone as well, wasn't he? He was dazed. Like, Joshua threw the punch after the bell in a sequence of him trying to knock Dillian Whyte out. Like,
Peter Sims got in from the Joshua camp because obviously Rob McCracken wasn't in the corner at the time.
That's right.
The rules didn't allow it. Then a couple of Dillian Whytes literally just stormed the ring, who was sat ringside. So much for the security. He just got in. You saw him reaching into pockets. God knows, like anything could have happened then. It was so weird. And then it just dispersed and he carried on.
I need to go back and watch it. I can't recall that.
Yeah. It kicked off and it was certainly extended longer than the minute that you had. But yeah, it was definitely watch it back. It was really, really odd and probably something you won't see again for, if ever again, or for a number of years down the line.
Steve?
Yes, thanks very much, boys. We have our second guest of the evening on the call. It's Jordan Latimer. How are you, Jordan?
I'm fine, thank you. You?
Not too bad at all, thanks. Not too bad at all. How are you getting on during the lockdown?
Yeah, lockdown, obviously it's been tough for everyone, training-wise and that. But I've been very active during training. During lockdown, I've been covering 100 kilometres a week on average, so... I'm in pretty fit shape at the moment.
Good to hear. Any word on when you'll be back in the ring?
Well, I was hoping to be back out this year, but by the looks of things, a lot of that's uncertainty with small hall shows anyway. I had a lot of fights last year fall through for me in Ireland and here as well, so hopefully I can get active soon.
Yeah, because you're from Sligo originally. Where are you based now?
I grew up in Sligo. I'm from Manchester. My family are from Sligo, so I went to high school there, and that's where I had my amateur career under Stephen and Alan Reynolds. They were quite well-known fighters on the amateur circuit, and obviously my family are from Manchester, so that's why I was trained by John Murray, who I knew as a kid throughout my childhood and that. So yeah.
Yeah, Stephen and Alan Reynolds, both great fighters. I remember I was there the night Stephen won I think it was the Irish light heavyweight or cruiserweight title against Declan Traynor. They're both good guys, good fighters.
Yes. I was at that fight, if I'm correct. Steve, I was at that fight. Steve was training with then. I was quite fortunate, to have them training me. They looked after me, and then obviously John Murray took over looking after me for my first 2 years of pro career, and that. Yeah,
in the first 2 years, then 2017 debut in February against Dwayne Green in Manchester. What do you remember about that one?
Yes, I moved back to Manchester when I was 17, so that was 2015.
Right.
And the reason why I knew John very personally, Joe Murray, and a few of the other boxers trained with Joe Gallagher, is my uncle, my mum's brother. So
okay.
I knew John as a kid a lot. So I just messaged him and said, I wanted to improve and finish for the amateur game. I was 17 at the time. I didn't like it. My style was never for the amateur game. I was more start off quite slow. So then John changed my style for a year. We trained a lot. It took a lot. And we took the Dwayne Green fight. It was a late replacement from Robert Studzinski. Steve Wood got me. And it was easier than expected, if I'm honest. I expected a harder fight. But yeah.
Yeah, and your second fight, you went in against a guy who obviously had a winning record, Jade Karam. I think he's from South Africa originally. How did you find that one?
Yes, I left Steve Wood then, and I switched coaches for that fight. I wasn't with John for that fight. I don't know what the reasons was. Me and John are very close. He's like my father figure in my life. Still is. I was training with Mark Davidson for that fight in the amateur boxing club. He's a pro coach. And Jade was a step up. He was 9-6 at the time, 9-5, sorry, or some record anyway.
Yeah.
And it was a fight that I needed a round, so I let it go the distance. But I handled him quite easily, and I wanted the Graham McCormack fight after that. But he was just all talk at the time. He didn't want it,
Yeah, it's one of the fights that fallen through. Has that been the tale of the past 18 months? Really, fights not happening for you?
Yeah, Killian Reardon fight. I was actually offered McKenzie Jr. And Shaquille Thompson, but that wasn't their fault or my fault. It was management issues I had. Went through a lot of board meetings and that to win my case against the management and that. But yeah, it's what it is still, isn't it? It's pro boxing.
Exactly. Just got to move on. Just to remind our listeners, we have Jordan Latimer on the call at Jordo Latimer over on Twitter. New Twitter handle. What happened to the old one?
I can log back into it. Simple as.
Oh yeah, at Jordo Latimer over on Twitter now. Go and give him a follow, everybody. Tell us about Talk and Support then. You're an ambassador for them. What's that all about?
Yeah, Jack contacted me about it because when I turned pro, as you'll probably see on my boxing shorts, at the back is always suicide prevention. My brother sadly took his own life in 1998 when I was 8 months old, so every fight I had, I always try my best to promote mental health awareness or suicide prevention, and I think in boxing it's one of them things that's pretty big. Thorough Gary, Darren Sutherland, who won bronze medal for Ireland, countless other fighters, who are not famous have struggled with mental health issues. So yeah.
Yeah, well done. It is a good cause. Now, you mentioned earlier that you're a slow starter. I'm going to have to bring this one up, don't you, in October 2018.
Yes. You're the first person I've actually spoken about it to, so yes.
Debutant John Doherty, obviously, I think including the count, it was about 18 seconds. Pretty slow starter, Jordan.
Yes.
at the time, after the Cram fight, which was the May, in the September, I started university in Sunderland, and September, I wasn't training at the time. I had started training with MTK Newcastle, and I wanted to change management at the time. My management wouldn't let me out the contract, so I said, you know why? At the time, I was 19 at the time, so I was like, I ain't training then, so I had a big freshers, put it that way, and then my management offered me doc fight at the time, and for me, I wasn't a big ticket seller, at the time, so you're gonna, someone who's 19, you're gonna jump at the chance, if your management aren't looking after you to fight on Sky. So I didn't know. I got 4 days notice for it, so I was like, you know what, okay, I'll take it. At the time, I shouldn't have, because of the weight difference as well. At the weigh-in, he was 10 pounds heavier than me at the weigh-in, and that's not my normal weight either. Because if you go from my amateur career, Stephen Allen will tell you, I fought at 1691 kg, Irish semis at 86 kg, but I was very dehydrated from a full month of dieting and that, and yeah, it was the fight should have been pulled. I didn't know at the time. I could have pulled out of the fight with him being overweight. Obviously, I had a lot of issues with my pay that I didn't know about, and a lot of other stuff with that. But it was a big mistake on my behalf. He damaged my right eye quite a lot in that fight, and I went into the fight thinking I was going to walk through him. I'll be honest with you, I thought, what, man, he's debuting, I was like, who the fuck are you, plus Joe, my uncle, had Hosea Burton on the undercard, so I was like, what, I want to make a statement to him, he can, screw himself, I'm going to chin this dog, because he was hanging around with Hosea Burton, so I was all like hyped up for it, and it didn't register till Paul Smith spoke with me after the fight. Paul Smith was the first one who was ringside to see me. I didn't realise he remembered me as a kid. He came speaking to me because Joe didn't bother coming to me any time after the fight. But he's a good guy, Paul. I didn't expect him. Obviously, John Murray was the first one to call me after with the rest of the lads from his gym. But the fight, I was, 159 walking into the fight, against someone who was near 180s. I could see the size difference. It wasn't. I take a lot of the blame for it. You're young, you make stupid decisions when you're not being guide us correctly, but I should have listened to John's advice. John told me to pull out the night before, and he was correct,
Yeah, in hindsight, you've learnt a lot now from it. Not take fights at short notice. It's easy to say that now, but at the time, like you said, you were pumped up. You thought you could do the job. Yeah,
I don't think any fighter is afraid of any fighter. I think it's just the management that stop fighters from fighting. But in regards to the knockdown, I know you're probably all thinking about that. It's I did have a grade 3 concussion after the fight, hence why it was tough to try and get my boxing license back at the time. And suspected fracture in the cheekbone as well. So it was one of those things, I think it was three hooks to the temple, and I couldn't see at the time out my right eye when I was put down, but yeah.
Tell us about the towel thing then, because it looks to people at home that you maybe were asking for the towel to be thrown in, but that's not the case, is it?
I was actually asking where I was.
Yeah.
And I was saying I couldn't see out my eye. I was the corner man I don't know if he thought that I was signaling to throw in the towel. But I couldn't see out my eye, but I weren't asking for the towel at all. I don't think there was any way back for me anyway from that. I think it was only one-way traffic. We're the first one to admit that. But welterweight would be a weight I'd return at. If I was coming back, which is a huge drop because I'm naturally 180 pounds walking around that. So, but 147 I'd return at.
Yeah, just to close out then, Jordan, and we do thank you for joining us. I mean, what's
No
the
worries,
word?
mate.
What's the word then on coming back? Do you think? I mean, how soon have people been speaking to you about possible returns?
Yeah, I've been, I would like a 50-50 fight, because I would like people to see, like, me as a fighter, not against some guy that's, paid to lose. So, but it's tough to get guys to fight you, I would like this year, come back. And I would accept anyone, at welterweight or light middle, but we'll have to see, mate.
Absolutely. At Jordan Latimer over on Twitter. Thanks for joining us and speaking so honestly.
All right, no worries, mate. Take care.
All the best, Jordan. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Jordan Latimer there, jumping on, talking us about the old knockout Aussie. Yeah, 8 seconds plus the count, 18 seconds. He was banged out, but maybe it wasn't all as it seemed, as he explained there.
No, obviously not. I mean, look, we've seen. Yeah, it may have only been 18 seconds, but he's pretty spoke about some brutal injuries there. And you talk anything to do with your eyes and things like that. Look, he lives to fight another day. He carries on, trying to be, pretending like a bit of a warrior. And he said, I thought he spoke really honestly. It was quite refreshing to hear. And the fact that he said, look, it was kind of one-way traffic. If he'd have carried on, who knows? He could have had, potentially, like life-changing damage. And all from taking a fight, at short notice. I mean, for me, his management should have advised him, should have been begging him to pull out. £10 is a huge difference, particularly, when you're taking the fight on short notice as well. I mean, what did he say? 4 days? It's dangerous stuff. That I understand it happens, but should have been a bit more control on the weight. I mean, he's now, making 147 and he's fighting a guy at 160. I mean, the one eye profile we knew about that was Kell Brook against Gennady Golovkin, and Golovkin shattered Brook's eye socket to pieces. I mean, obviously, this is on a completely different level, but a similar injury. And it shows, weights aren't to be messed around with. I hope he can make a comeback. Obviously, it looks like he had some time off after that, got himself back together. And then this is all cropped in, for making his comeback. But what I did appreciate that he doesn't really want to get back in, with somebody coming to lose. He wants that 50-50 competitive fight. And again, in the day and age from where people can, have these fights against journeymen and puddings, he doesn't want that. He wants to go in, for the competitive fights that get him going. And he's clearly confident. So good luck to him. I really hope that, he gets a chance to prove himself, because clearly that's not, to judge him off that one performance would be unfair.
I think
John Doherty's a talented lad as well.
I think it kind of highlights the plight when we hear these interviews on our pod from fighters at this level, how difficult it is to do it without guidance and without a camp with you. And also it illustrates how hard it is for a fighter to get to the very top level, like how naturally skilled they have to be, how dedicated they have to be to the physical side of it. And as well as that, it makes me think when we hear about these weight discussions, when you hear fellas discount older fighters from previous generations, saying that they hadn't got the same kind of talent or frame as some of the fighters, they wouldn't be able to hang. But a lot of those fighters in the old era won titles at different weights when there was no split weights, so you were moving up 14 pounds rather than 7 pounds to take someone on. So that kind of can't be discounted. And then that makes me think, has fitness and nutrition advanced so much that physical attributes are more part of a sport than ever these days?
The other thing as well is, mate, you had over the weight fights as well, and then you had the same day weigh-in. Maybe the weigh-ins maybe 6 hours before the fight, So, and these guys are going 15 rounds hard at it with six at that time as well as with the smaller gloves, mitts,
straw gloves, basically. Yeah, exactly, like UFC gloves or the equivalent in today's standard. So. Yeah, it just I suppose it makes your brain think, but it's how tough is it for boxing? Is it, we take it for granted sometimes with injuries and fighters jacking it and all at that high level, and we demand better. But some of the shit that they have to do to get to that level is unbelievable. So many fall short, so many can't be at that top elite level. Like, so just makes you think. But best of luck to Jordan Latimer, by the way. Not taking anything away from him or discrediting him for the level that he's at. It's a tough sport.
I've seen one of the comments in the chat that mentioned like a Gogo, for example, who had eye injuries, like what is it, 20 operations. I remember he put up a few posts or videos on Twitter or whatever it was and stuff. The guy was like, crying blood and that. He was doing everything he could possibly to try and kind of save his career, and it just wasn't going to happen. Probably spent all his prize money just trying to
You're
get.
right,
Oh, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing. Actually, do you remember? You guys maybe remember this guy? He fought Ryan Rhodes for the British title. Jamie Coyle, Scottish boy.
Yep, Bulgar.
He's from my area. Now we always looked up to him. We were coming up through high school and stuff. He was like juniors at the time, maybe senior amateur at the time, and he had to get corrective eye surgery. Had to go and get laser surgery, and he couldn't afford it. Then Tommy Gilmore ended up paying it for him and stuff. Saved his career. Got a big payday against fighting Ryan Rhodes. So obviously he got beat. Well beaten.
Sports, and he went the distance like a warrior.
Went the distance, but that was the thing. We're in the pub, I watched it in that roaring the morning and stuff. But as I say, he balls as fuck, man. Hung in there right to the bitter end. That's the other thing as well about these eye injuries. That Joe Frazier fight in one eye with since was it late 60s, I think it was.
Yeah. Margarito.
Sam Langford basically retired to a home, absolutely blind with nothing. These guys were fighting.
Bo Jack. Another one ended up blind.
John Murray.
John Murray
had shocker of an eye injury.
Izzy Vasquez lost his eye, I think, as well.
Did he? Israel Vasquez?
I'm sure he did. If I got that one wrong, I apologise, but I'm sure he ended up went blind in one eye. He was
Ray
getting
Leonard
headaches.
had the detached retina,
aye, which at that time was meant to be in your career at that time as well, eh?
Big time. So to come back after the detached retina as well, people overlook that sometimes with Leonard. Like.
Yes, good luck to Jordan Latimer and Kevin Agyoko, both joining us on episode 376. Aussie's with us still, Andy and rapping Rob Kelly. We'll be going on to our tournament very soon. Before we do so, another shout out to the boys over on Patreon, our top subscribers, starting with Graham Taylor, Jeff Conway, George Barry, Craig Jevons, Don McNamara, hanging around in the chat somewhere, John Kearns, Nathan Shaw, Marvelous Mendo, Joe Ringer, James Addy, and Marco Barrera, who was in the chat. Shout out to you, Marco, Marty G, and James Monaghan. So, Andy, keep me up to date on the list. We had Eubank knocking out Dos Santos. The Joshua Whyte riot, they described it as. Do you remember it was when Whyte went after him at the end of the round?
We're discussing it, mate. We're discussing it. I couldn't remember it as such. Ozzy remembered it, but I'll need to go back and watch it. Now you mentioned it, but it was a wee bit brief, apparently, the lads said at least.
Yeah, they got it sorted out. There was all these theories, wasn't there, about they saw someone pulling something out of their jacket pocket and it was glistening and, yeah.
Maybe a gun and that, whatever. I remember the Eubank Dos Santos knockout. He stand in front of the camera with the gloves together and stuff. They'll fight Benn right after that fight. I'm sure it was. He said, "I want your boy." He was talking. Who was it? That was he was talking to Ambrose Mendy at the time on telly with Barry Hearn. He says, "I want your boy, Nigel. Come to me. I'm a better fighter." And then obviously they had that big signing session and that signing the contracts. That was absolutely
unbelievable.
That was brilliant, man.
You'll hard to
forget a signing of a contract to a fight is ever like that again and is better ever on live. That's live TV. Remember that, by the way.
Front page of Boxing Weekly. Front page of Boxing Weekly. I think and Boxing Monthly when it was made. And I mentioned it before on the pod. It's hard to remember. There's a couple of occasions where it's hard to remember an occasion where you had one fighter that absolutely fucking hated the other fighter more obviously than Nigel Benn hated Chris Eubank. He fucking hated him. Eubank kept his composure more, I think, in the build up to that fight. Benn was ready to fight. I remember reading a couple of the head-to-heads in the press. They had covered it that he'd offered him out a couple of times on the press run, like so. Probably
parliamentary procedure here.
Worked against them, I think, on the night, but unbelievable times and unforgettable as well. I thought Ben won. I thought Ben won the second fight, by the way.
Oh, definitely. But did you see mention? You see, we're talking about like Tyson and Ali and that, how they never had social media back in the day. Well, these guys never had social media back in the day either, right? And see the first fight, that was a public necessity. The public were demanding that fight. But it was not like nowadays and stuff like that. It was on Twitter, and nobody the public knows who Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua was. Basically, the kind of wider public. People knew who these people were because these were guys who were fighting in front of millions on TV whenever they fucking fought. BBC, ITV. Tremendous times in that. I tell you, it was one of the rare times that almost broke it greeting actually at the time because I would be what at the time 7, 8-year-old when Eubank beat him in that. Just seeing Ben go back on the ropes like that as what was his name? The ref. the ref for the Chavez-Taylor fight.
Oh, Richard Steele.
Richard Steele stepped in. I think he was the referee. He stopped the fight, stuff like that. Ben's like, no, fuck. Oh. Then you see Eubank. He's like, yes. And he's like, he gets interviewed off Gary Newborn, I think it is, after the fight, and he's like, he swallowed all his blood and that, and he says, I'm in too much pain. And Gary Newborn went like, says, sorry, pain? He's like, yes, too much pain. I'm like, Newborn, you're a prick. Of course he's in fucking pain. The body shots he was getting hit with, man. Jesus Christ.
Was that the night?
With him.
Was that the night where he said, I love you bad, Karen?
Yeah, he married that. He wanted the wife to marry him, aye.
Yep.
Great times.
I tell you, a hard bastard Eubank. As much criticism as he gets for being an absolute headbanger, he had some fucking beard. Some beard. He didn't fight everybody, by the way, but on the nights that he had to fight, he turned up.
Oh, he did. Tough bastard. Tough bastard. Just while we're on that subject, by the way, about social media and stuff, Joe Kennedy threw in an interesting question, which you guys might want to deal with before we get back to our top 10. He said, if you could watch an old school fight with modern technology, things like slow-mos, replays, corner mics, obviously stick it into colour, which would it be? I would say Walker versus Greb or Armstrong versus Ross would be the ones I would love to see. That's an interesting question from Joe there. Any thoughts?
Yeah, well, you need to go back to the older days, like...
Gene Tunney against
Jack Dempsey too.
That's what I was going to say. See if there was a bolt on the floor.
Yeah.
I would love...
man. Gene Tunney, if I could watch that fight, read about it so much, watch the grainy footage, and from the footage that's available, you can actually get a decent grasp of what happened, but I'd love to see it like with the modern day cameras and the angles and stuff. That, Sugar Ray Robinson versus Graziano, I'd like to see that sequence of knockout with today's technology. I think that'd be unbelievable. But I'm sure Andy has another bunch. Like there's hundreds that you could go through over the years, really.
Yeah, you would need to go back to back in the day. But I've actually got a copy of Joe Gann's Marlon Nelson fight for 1906, right? And it's like I've got like over an hour's copy. It's like 45 rounds, I think it lasted. But I've not got the full fight. I would love to get a hold of that just to have a look at it, proper high definition, because obviously it's a grainy footage. I like to get a hold of Dempsey against Willard. Coloured and high def and all that sort of stuff, and Dempsey Furpo, that was fucking insane, man. Just absolutely incredible. I think Dempsey got knocked to the ring that night.
Sorry, Andy, I got mixed up. It was actually Willard Dempsey I was thinking of, where he was supposed to have had allegedly, wasn't he, Dempsey, to have had the bolt in the glove because he hit him that hard. I think it was Willard actually. Sorry, not
he smashed up his ribs, broke his jaw, broke his teeth.
That ended controversially, didn't it? Because back in the day, you didn't have to let the
you didn't need to
separate us.
It wasn't a mandatory 8 count either. You just go,
hit him the minute they get up, basically, you could get a
you're
crowd.
back on top of him, man.
Apparently, he hit him when he was halfway up, didn't it? And they asked Dempsey about it afterwards. And they said, why did you hit him so quickly? And he said, what did you want me to do? Wait for him to send me a postcard. Had another good quote about Gene Tunney as well. That was the richest fight in history, the second one. They reckon whatever tickets they did, they could have done 10 times over for the people that were outside. So they said the natural question was like, do you want to fight? Or do you want to do this a third time? And I said to him, how about Gene Tunney 3, Jack? And he said, why? I only hit him once in 20 rounds.
Just as you mentioned Joe Gans, I've got like 4-minute footage or something like that of the Terry McGovern fight. This is the fight that Joe Gans was reported to have took a dive. So, and I think I ended up kind of like prompting like the outlaw a prize fight in the state. I think it was Texas or was it Chicago, I think it was maybe. So let's just have a look at that one to see if it was if it was Benn, maybe Lewis Schmeling.
Maybe a bit of Pancho Villa, see if he was the original Pacquiao.
Yeah, there's a few fights at light heavyweight. I mean, there is Charles and Judge Joe Walcott fights, especially fights around about that year.
Maxim Robinson, another.
I've got that one. The ref, Ruby Goldstein falls before Robinson. He has to have to replace the referee because of the heat.
The heat,
yeah.
I mean, that always maintains Maxim doesn't get enough credit for that win because he reckons he would have felt the heat more because he was the bigger man. So he's making an argument for Maxim. But Robinson again was a natural. No, but Maxim again, Robinson a natural welterweight to go to 75 to on almost do it like it was ahead on the cards, wasn't he, when he had to pull out from dehydration or whatever. So I'd love to see that in full colour and all that as well. There's loads, like, isn't there? Tons.
St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Sandy Sadler.
Willie Pep.
Willie Pep and Sally Sadler. I'd love to see that in fucking modern
four
day
fights.
footage.
4 fights of that. No, but one I like to see this St. Valentine's Day Massacre, but with all the slow motion replays, in between rounds and stuff like that. Jake LaMotta getting an absolute hammer up against the ropes and stuff, and
only with
Robbins
and again
pinpoint.
with the likes of a Bart Sugar or someone doing the calling of the fights where they just have the fucking full history. Bart Sugar said about Robinson that when he's praising him as the number one fighter of all time about LaMotta, that LaMotta never really said, "You never got me down, Ray," like in Raging Bull, because he wasn't able to fucking talk.
Apparently, they were feeding brandy between rounds. Jake LaMotta to try and kill the pain.
It's made it fucking easy for him. That would have been a fucking night out.
He should have just been. He should have been drinking bloody. What do you call it? Liquid morphine
or CBD oil.
CBD oil.
CBD kidder. Yeah, Ozzy, we were just saying the question there from Joe Kennedy. If you could go back in time to watch an old fight with the benefits of all the modern day technology, like slow-mo, colour, replays, all that type of stuff. Well, how about if you took all that and put it into a Saul Farah fight in the car park? Imagine the scenes.
I was just thinking exactly the same. I can't believe you've read my mind.
You absolute wankers.
Getting out there. I mean, look, Andy was messaging me all week saying,
I was actually.
We got to review Farah's fights. So, yeah, look, I mean, it would be funny. I'd love to go, like you see some of like the prison canteen or something, you get all, like the big fancy lighting and cameras. Imagine going somewhere like that.
Or Latvia fight camps for in the local gyms that go in your pro record and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
The Budapest Fight Club or Morrison's Club in Budapest is another one as well.
A spinning 360 punch from Prince Patel on one of those Polish guys.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind seeing Mike Tyson versus Mitch Green 2. That was never captured on camera. I wouldn't mind seeing that one.
I've got the pictures. Remember I sent you the pictures of them. Stand up against some white sports guy.
Mitch Green went on to win the WBS title. I don't know what BS stands for, but you could probably guess. The WBS heavyweight title afterwards. So he made something of himself.
I tell you, he was a hell of a character, wasn't he? Mitch Blood Green. Holy shit. And if you ever hear Tyson telling the story of the confrontation, it's absolute gold. And I think he's told it on his million fucking podcast, stand-up run, one-man play, documentary run. Fucking there's more Mike Tyson fucking footage of him out there now than there was when he was a fighter. But it's absolute gold. Apparently he was in Dapper Dan's in Harlem. Tyson was trying to buy some custom Gucci-made jacket, and Mitch Green confronted him and called him all kinds of words, and then tried to jump through a limo. Larry Holmes jumping off the fucking roof of the limo to fucking soccer kick fucking Trevor Burbick in the head's pretty good as well. Don't mind a fucking high def copy of that one.
That is a good one. And
Riddick
Bowe, Elijah Tillery. If you ever see Riddick Bowe against Elijah Tillery, it's well worth the watch as well.
What was number one?
Right,
Skyless.
let's move on. Yep.
Sorry, what was number one in the Skyless?
Oh, we haven't got there yet. We're on to number two. We're on to number 2 here, which is Danny Williams dislocating his shoulder against Mark Potter.
Oh, fuck. I thought you were going to say the Harrison doing it and then he smashed the guy out.
Michael Sprott.
Maybe I'm being harsh here, but am I the only person who watches that and thinks to yourself,
that's part of the game.
What are you doing? Like, the guy's got one arm, just stay out the way.
Go to the other side.
How can you get knocked out by a fella with his arm hanging off?
Other side. Maybe not high at the boxing IQ there.
Yeah.
Potter.
Some balls from Williams though, because he looked fucked from that. He couldn't defend himself, could he? And then it was a brutal knockout as well, wasn't it? It wasn't just thingy. I'm sure Potter was out cold in the end. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And then
I'm not sure he was actually. He knocked him down heavy with the left hook, and then the last 2 knockdowns, I think Potter just sort of slumped to the canvas, didn't he? If I remember correctly.
I thought the ref jumped in.
Since I saw that.
I thought maybe the ref jumped in. Yeah, years since I saw it too, though.
Yeah. I remember Sprott was laid out.
I think he slumps to his feet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Sprott.
Bean was excited actually. Love it. Anyway, the number. Spot against Audley, that was a good one as well, actually. Dean Francis used to dislocate his shoulder all the time. Anyway, number 1 is the final round between Corrales against Castillo.
Fair enough.
Well,
I
I'll
guess,
tell you right now, see if that's number one, then that's because Adam Smith's picked this list because he was a big Chico fan. Huge Chico fan.
They definitely covered it because that's where I saw that fight. They definitely covered that as well. Yeah. Unbelievable fight, man. What a fucking fight.
Adam Smith used to go jogging with him when he was in America with Chico, by the way.
How good were the two of them, by the way, as well, Corrales and Castillo? I remember when Castillo came on the scene first, they thought he was going to be the next Chavez. Like, he was fucking unbelievable in his prime, man. And Chico as well, man. What a fucking fight that was. Unbelievable.
We should review that next week.
Yeah,
we should
actually.
In fact, you should do the two fights because the second one only went 4 rounds. I think the third fight
Castillo blew up in weight, didn't he?
Castillo came in about 20 pounds over, didn't he?
Yeah, smashed him in 4 rounds. Fucking bollocks him in 4 rounds, man.
Jesus, he had to give up his purse that night and couldn't win the title, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Was another third fight called as well, and he was like, he was
over again, and Corrales was like, "Fuck this,"
and called the fight off like late doors or whatever it was.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Chico Corrales. Not an angel either, by the way.
Didn't Corrales end up fighting Casamayor and he had his lip hanging off? Do you remember that? Corrales fought Casamayor, didn't he? And Dr. Margaret Goodman stopped the fight because his lip was split open.
Gatti had that against Alfonso. Was it Gomez?
Not sure. No. Not sure. I remember Corrales fighting Floyd and being just completely fucking bewildered, like could not get into the fight. I'd just been getting knocked down, and
Floyd was class that night, wasn't he? Because Corrales was a massive puncher too.
See the shots coming. He was standing up 1 second, next minute, bang, and then he's just taking a knee. Like, what the fuck just happened here? Like, brilliant.
Floyd did that for the domestic abuse victims of Chico, you know.
Yeah, the two of them were having the domestic abuse title that night, I think.
Domestikov.
Domestikov was the highly favoured Russian who didn't fucking turn pro.
Yeah, that was number one anyway. Yeah, it was a Sky list, and I think they went for things they had footage of and that, so there could have been a few that we could have got thrown in that didn't. Right, let's move on to a question from Terry Woodfine. Then we shall go on to the tournament. Terry said, Ozzy, for you especially, if you're about to start boxing, which you might be, who in an ideal world would you want to become your trainer or mentor to guide your career? I'll start off, says Terry. Mine would be Teddy Atlas. Worked to earn the best in the game, proven resume, great communicator, an unbelievable motivator. I don't know, Atlas might do my head in after a while, I think.
I've always thought Malignaggi comes across extremely well, and I always think he could do something as a trainer. I think the way he analyses a fight is, I think he's one of the best around. He's clearly operated at the top level as well. So yeah, I think Malignaggi would be one. Or he's now involved a lot more than he was, but I've always liked Andy Lee, and this was prior to him getting involved with Tyson Fury. Again, he was another one that I always thought he came across extremely well as a pundit. Again, operated at the top level, good communicator, been there, done it, operated in, various gyms under extremely talented trainers. But Malignaggi would be one for me.
And what about the world's greatest trainer himself, Dave Allen? Would you not want to get him on board somewhere?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Huey and him had a bit of a face-off this week, and they said, what are Coogan says to Huey Fury, what are Dave Allen's strengths as a fighter? And Huey goes, he's a nice fella.
He's a successful landlord. Man.
Yeah, maybe not Dave Allen, Andy.
No,
he's a successful landlord. All right.
Well, just for the bands.
Who would you bring on board then, Andy? Best trainer or mentor if you were starting off?
Who's in the game today, or like of all time, or if you're going by today, I'll probably go.
No, I think it's whoever's in. Yeah.
Who's surviving the day? I would probably go with mentor, maybe Jimmy Tibbs. He's been running about the game. He knows all the sharks and stuff. He's by his own admission, but he won't talk about it. But he knows the shadow figure, shall we say? So he'll be full of knowledge in that regard. Trainer wise, I'd maybe go with maybe Shane McGuigan or something like that. Shane always seems to improve his fighters. Certainly improve Carroll, improve Josh Taylor. So yeah, do you call her Lassie Cameron? She looked like a really good fighter. Fought, not a bit too much about it, but she fought like a man, really, didn't she? Kind of like went to the body and the head and stuff, mixed it up a wee bit, tried to kind of end fights and stuff. try and get like some of them for America or like Europe and stuff.
Well, if you went with Shane, Andy, you could have Barry coming in as an advisor for free. It's like a 2-for-1 offer.
Yeah, but then if I get the other
no
two
way
boys,
that could go wrong. Absolutely no way that could go wrong.
But I've got to pay Blaine as well,
I could see,
what about Jake?
Jake as well.
Auntie Flo makes the tea.
I could see Andy teaming up with he's more of a Kelly Maloney type of person, I think, or someone like that. Career guided by Kelly.
Woo!
Guide me, aye.
Teach you how to headbutt. Like on Big Brother, when he was going to headbutt your man.
I'm trying to kind of other upcoming fighters, America-wise and stuff. Who's Bradley's trainer? Actually, no, Bradley. Crawford's trainer.
Oh, Keith. Somebody is it? Or no, he's the manager, isn't he? Keith Connolly, Derek. Somebody. I can't remember.
Is it Gardner? No, I can't mind. Someone will remind us.
I'm not sure. Don't know. All time, the guys are saying in the chat. Obviously, all time, you'd go for like Eddie Futch or something, wouldn't you? I mean,
Eddie Futch, Angelo Dundee.
For me, like I'll have to go with my old bud. I'll have to go with my old bud Manny. Like if we're going all time, it's basically as there was such a huge part of the Cron camp anyway. I probably practically was running the thing over there. So no, but I'd probably go. Seeing as I'm Irish, if I was to turn pro, I'd just go with whoever MTK tell me to go with. So most likely Ben Davison or one of these guys I'd end up with.
Jimmy Moore.
Danny Vaughan.
Maybe not my size.
Rob's advisor would be a certain Dubai resident.
So an all-round nice guy. Just put me in with someone like that who's an all-round nice guy. No, but I think I would have loved to. I wouldn't mind seeing what Roy Jones is like as a coach. His training sessions look great fun. He teaches fellas how to dance, which is good, and a lot of leaping left hooks. So I don't know if I'd have the athleticism that Roy would demand, but I'd certainly give it a shot. There's plenty. I tell you, actually looking at coaches and listening to him speak, I always like Robert Garcia as well.
I like
he's
him.
a pretty good coach. I think he did wonders with Maidana when he got him, because he had if you look at Maidana's fights before he was with Robert Garcia, he could punch, but he's always fucking overweight and he's always tired.
Going back to basics,
completely transformed that. And the jab. I remember Garcia and all that being more impressed with Maidana's second fight against Floyd than the first one, because technically how much he was after improving. Like he was doing stuff to try and take away Mayweather's jab and stuff. Really did great work with him and a lot of other fighters. So I think Garcia is kind of unheralded, and I'd like to see him with a real elite talent outside of Mikey.
I like he also gave Robert McCracken a shout out as well. I think Rob's a good trainer, very understated, underrated. Well, not underrated, but definitely very understated. And I do think as well is because it was quite telling after Joshua got beat off Ruiz that he needs to get sacked and stuff like that. I'm sorry. McCracken gave him the proper instructions what to do when he was hurt and been dropped against Ruiz. He was holding his feet. He should have been jabbing, right hand and getting out of distance and stuff. He couldn't do any of that. So, and he stuck with him as well, Joshua. So he fair play him, because it would have been far, far too easy outside influences saying to him, listen, trainer in, you weren't properly, whatever, and that. And camp was a mess according to him and stuff and that as well. So it could have been easily to kind of, switch up and stuff. And at the end of the day as well, is he managed to keep Carl Froch on a leash against Abraham when he was really wanting to get in there and get torn in and stuff, but he managed to kind of keep the leash on him a wee bit. So and plus if you look at his the work he's done with the Olympics and that as well, the amateur team and stuff, it goes without saying,
He seems like a good, like an all-round good man as well, doesn't he? And I don't know what he is. He could be a complete bollocks behind the scenes.
I've met him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he seems like an all-round nice guy.
I was reading Carl Froch's book a few years ago, right, and it is shit, right, but there was a telling comment in the book and that he was in it, having a chat with McCracken about something, having a bit of banter and that, and Froch done something to McCracken. McCracken just turned on him and got him in a fucking headlock and started squeezing the life out of him. And ever since then, he never took the piss out of McCracken. He knew he was legit, and he was a tough fucking bastard, man.
I actually watched Hatton against Mayweather with McCracken. He was over training Howard Eastman for the same night, fighting John Duddy in the King's Hall, and we all went back to the Balmoral Hotel afterwards. McCracken was there with Paul David, who was a super middleweight around that sort of time, and we all watched it in the depths at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Hatton Mayweather, so he's a spot on.
Tell you, I wouldn't fancy it.
And also, another thing I'll add, I've said this before. I've said this before, actually, Rob. I would give a shout out to the main man. I always give a shout out to. You mentioned about being based in Ireland. Phil Sutcliffe.
Yeah,
I
Phil
often
is
think
good.
there's a lot of good coaches, excellent coaches, who go under the radar. And Phil Sutcliffe is a guy who improves
Apparently
fighters
shouts
immeasurably. So
Chavez
shout
at
out
his
to him.
fighters as well for different
Well,
styles. Yeah,
You're Irishman as well.
yeah.
He does Rigondo and all that.
I tell you, I wouldn't fancy it with Jim McDonnell. Too much running, army running and up running in the mile. Give me the least running. Whoever. Because apparently Manny Stewart wasn't high on running either. It was just like bags, pads, spar, boom. That's your training. Skip a bit. Fucking just fight. I would fancy that way more than running down the road at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I think there's a snobbery against trainers sometimes. Like if they're not in the limelight or they're not there putting themselves out there, they're assumed that they're not necessarily good coaches. I always remember watching Paul Ingle. I think it was against Junior Jones back in the 90s, and the HBO crew, Andy, was sort of sniggering at his trainer in the corner, Steve Pollard. You know, nobody had heard of him, and he was a respected guy. You know, he'd done miracles with Ingle, took him to the world title, won it, retained it. You know, he knew his fighter, and he was a good coach. And just because they were sort of taking little digs, and what does he know type of, and I think there's good coaches like that who are worth their salt.
What the fuck do they know? They're sitting there commentating just like what we're doing, really. What do we know about getting a fighter ready to go in the corner?
We know fuck all.
Get him through a fight and stuff. One fighter, I was talking about Irishman. I'm going to go for Billy Walsh as well, considering what he did with the Irish team. And well, obviously time will tell what he's going to do with the Americans and that as well. But he seems to kind of getting things turned around about and stuff. A few good quality amateurs coming out of there as well. So
yeah, Wexford Town guy. I actually know him.
Hopefully, maybe get him on. Hopefully, get him on.
I know his son Ryan quite well, so I'll try and get him on. I must mention it to him this week. I fucking completely forgot it last week, but Billy Walsh, Olympian himself as well at welterweight. Fought in the same Olympics that Roy Jones did in Korea and was a victim of a decision as well. I think he might have got a cut eye or maybe got stopped on a cut, but it was a headbutt. It wasn't called, something like that. He lost the fight anyway, but he was heavily favoured because he beaten the Korean. Team GB were interested in getting him at one stage as well because of his work over here. I mean, I think we've got 27 medals that Ireland has as a country in total in the Olympics, and half of them have come from boxing, and most of those boxing medals came from Billy Welch's reign. So, yeah, massive shout.
Okay, boys, we shall move on. Just before we go to the tournament, final shout out to the Patreon boys last session. Shout out to Matt, Matthew Reynolds, Daniel Wilson, Saul Brocklehurst, Gary Lockwood, Daniel, Davey Man 100, Jamie, Mike Wrigley. Holt asked a question this week as well. Holly Lewis, Red West, Jamie D, Gordon, Sean, Ian Pires, D Turton, Swaggy Taggy, hanging around in the chat there somewhere, Slip Digby, and Richard Lodder. Shout out to the boys. Let's go on to the tournament and then shall we? We're on to the... What are we on to now? We're on to the welterweights, aren't we, I think? Let's have a look. Yes, indeed, the welterweights. Who's won the previous tournaments then? I'm sure you're all asking. Well, Nino Benvenuti was a surprising winner last week at light middleweight. In middleweight was Sugar Ray Robinson. He's exempt this week, by the way, for obvious reasons. Super middleweight winner was James Toney. Light heavyweight winner was Roy Jones Jr. Cruiserweight winner was Evander Holyfield. And the heavyweight winner was Larry Holmes. Okay, so we're on to the welterweights this week. Let me just get my little banner up in front of me, shall we? I don't know what I've done with quarterfinal number 2. I'm going to have to put that in a minute. Anyway, quarterfinal number 1, Andy, we'll go to you first of all. So you have 2 minutes or less to discuss quarterfinal number 1. The welterweights, Jose Napoles against, he got there. Jason Chukwu was desperate to get Corey Spinks in for some reason. We got him. Jose Napoles against Corey Spinks, 2 minutes or less. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jose Napoles, obviously we discussed, briefly touched upon him at the start of the show about the Curtis Cox death. Very, very great. Very, very good fighter. Great fighter. He was smooth. He was slick. He could attack, box, punch, defend. Whatever it took to get the job done, basically he could do it. And he could knock you out. Absolutely fantastic fighter. Corey Spinks, I've sort of probably need to say it, actually. I think he gets stopped in this fight, actually. I'm going to say he gets, obviously it will be a 12 rounder. I'm going to say he gets stopped around about the 10th round. I think Napoles will just kind of prod at him, and Spinks will basically kind of get broken up. And so I'm going to go 10th round stoppage for Napoles.
10th round stoppage for Napoles. Let me just write these into the chat then. So we've got Napoles going through. Glad that Corey Spinks got in the end though, Andy. I think Chukwu would have had a meltdown if you hadn't have included him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been sitting on a lot of the kind of, on the bench a fair bit. It's glad to get him punted out eventually. He got his chance, but didn't last too long, unfortunately. Lasted 10 rounds, though.
Oh, well, Corey, maybe he'll appear next week. I doubt it, though. Exactly. Right, quarter-final number 2. I think we'll go with you, Rob, the hitman himself, Tommy Hearns, against Oscar De La Hoya. Tommy Hearns against Oscar De La Hoya. Can you imagine this one? What a fight this would be.
A hell of a fight. I think Oscar is just slightly a level below. As good a fighter as Oscar De La Hoya was, prime for prime, I think he's slightly below Ray Leonard. And, well, I think he's actually probably a good bit below Ray Leonard. But he's certainly in the conversation, and hence this fantasy tournament. But I just think 147 at welterweight. If I'm right, I think Hearns only lost once at welterweight, and that was to Leonard, and that was in the 14th round when he had been beating Leonard up for the whole night, and Leonard showed unbelievable grit and determination. That was the night of Angelo Dundee.
You're blowing
it, kid. You're blowing it, kid. Yeah, so I couldn't see anyone living, for very few people living with Tommy Hearns at 147, and I would go for a fucking pretty convincing beatdown from Tommy Hearns. I just think his style was too much, man. Basically a middleweight fighting at welterweight, unbelievable size, terrific jab, and straight right hand was just, and went for the knockout at all times. So be a hell of a tear up, and I don't think De La Hoya wouldn't jack it by any means, and I think he might have some success going to the body and dogging Hearns a little bit. If he could get Hearns tired, that would be his best chance. But I think it switched on Tommy Hearns at 47, ties with De La Hoya in spots and beats him convincingly.
Okay, Tommy Hearns moves through alongside Jose Napoles. Competitive, says Knockout Box. It certainly would be competitive, absolutely, as all of these fights would be, I think, including quarterfinal number 3, Aussie, 2 minutes or less. You can give us the lowdown, the breakdown, who would come out on top between the main man himself, Sugar Ray Leonard, and the big punching left hooker from Puerto Rico, Felix Trinidad. Sugar Ray Leonard against Felix Trinidad, Aussie, 2 minutes or less.
Ray Leonard, I think it's tough. It's always tough with these. Let me just pull up the record quickly. I think we all know how good Sugar Ray Leonard was. Unbelievable talent. Obviously competed at welterweight and went up to 154 as well. I think he'd just be a bit too. I certainly don't think he'd stop Felix Trinidad, but I think it'd be certainly a close fight, and maybe like a 116, 112 for Ray Leonard, in my opinion.
I could see knockdowns in that fight though, because Leonard, if you had you hurt, he was a good finisher, and Trinidad with that left hook,
slow starter, Andy, wasn't he? Trinidad.
He was a slow starter, and Leonard, he was very, very ring savvy. I just think if he could hurt Tito, which I think, apart from Hopkins knocking him out, I can't recall ever seeing Trinidad hurt, to be honest with you.
He got dropped, but he was never really hurt, was he? No. Kevin Lushing dropped him. Fernando Vargas dropped him.
That's right.
I think that side-to-side style of Leonard, which has kind of been abandoned since by a lot of fighters, they kind of emulate Floyd more so going backwards. Yeah, but that side-to-side style that Leonard could employ at any time of the fight to give him a bit of an edge on Trinidad from that respect.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I was thinking of Trinidad being a slow starter. I know he knocked Vargas down and nearly stopped him in the first round, but he was a slow start. It took him a while to get the engine going. And Kevin Lushing, there's a name from the past. He was a good fighter, Lushing, actually, at a certain level. He was a bit of a pretty boy, wasn't he? He was fast, though, and he could punch a bit himself. But yeah, Trinidad was a hell of a specimen. I think that would have been a good fight. Okay, then, let us go on to quarterfinal number 4. Who've we got then, Andy? That's the question, to join Sugar Ray Leonard, Hearns, Whitaker against Vernon Forrest.
Dude, this is the hardest one ever. Like, when you gave me the list, this one is really hard to call because, Forrest is probably at his prime at 147, isn't he?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus, suffering, man. I mean, jab, solid right hand, Forrest. He could pace it. He was a good mover. And Whitaker, well, Jesus Christ, man. He was a good mover. Great boxer, slip and slide. Excuse me. Jesus, suffering, man. it doesn't matter what I see here. I'm going to come up with the wrong answer, I think, because someone's always going to come up with a better response, I think, what I'm going to say here. But I'm going to go and say Whitaker. No, Whitaker. I'm going to say Forrest. Sorry, I'm going to say Forrest. I just
You're
think
not alone,
Forrest,
Andy. The chat are backing you up here.
Thank God. I'm going to say Forrest. I just think with the jab, his movement, slightly bigger size as well, I think. Yeah, I'm going to say he does open points, Forrest. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to say points. I think it's no discredit to Whitaker, by the way, but I just don't see him. I just don't see him kind of. Nah, I just don't see it. God damn it, man! That's a hard. That's one of the hardest ones you've ever given me actually to pick out.
Chocolatito said I just woke up. I think that when you see Mayorga beating Forrest, a lot of the time he punched on angles or he came around the sides, and I think that's probably where Whitaker would have the edge in the end. And I think as well that Whitaker didn't lose in his prime ever, and he arguably kind of had tough outs on the way out. Even like I'd say prime for prime, I'd edge towards Whitaker, but I could see why people think that Forrest could even dominate him, because he was so much bigger. But I just think
you need to remember though,
boxing IQ and all of everything of Whitaker, I think he'd find a way to win.
Yeah.
What's prime Forrest, Andy? What's prime Forrest? Is it around the Mosley fights, you think?
Yeah, definitely, because I was going to say, because he was actually out the ring after the Mayorga fight for about 2 years, and he had major injury problems with nerve damage. I think it was his elbow. And if you get nerve damage, man, it's pretty much you fucked. You probably need like the best treatment you could get. I think that was him after that, because he moved up in weight, I think, after that. And when you're losing to Mora and that as well, as I think still at that point, people kind of give me shit for saying that Mora beat him. I forgot all about
that. I might have heard that before, but I forgot all about it.
Yeah, but he beat Corte, for example, and he beat Baldemir, but I don't think he was the same fighter after the Mayorga fights, but he was definitely a roadmap injuries by that point. Running about the Mayorga fight, and especially after the rematch, I think he lost 1 points. And I don't know if it was something to do with the weight for the first fight as well. Did no kind of like lose a ton of weight or something? I need to go back and check that, but it's one of the hardest ones you've ever gave me. And as soon as you mentioned it to him, I was like, motherfucker, I think Forrest has got this, especially at 147, because I always forget that he was a 147 fighter, Forrest. I always kind of remember him mostly at 154, and that's probably a disservice, because I actually recall him being this kind of fairy fighter, and he really wasn't. He was a really, really good fighter if you actually look into it and at the background of it all.
An interesting thing about the first Mosley fight, which I'd forgotten about, and I was watching it recently, is that whenever he knocks him down, in that second round or whatever it is, he gets a hell of a headbutt. Mosley does. I'm sure Forrest puts the head in on him, and it must have knocked Mosley about for a good few rounds, if not the rest of the fight. Now I know Forrest won the rematch, so it's a moot point. But if you watch it back, he takes one hell of a headbutt at one point.
Was that the first knockdown you're talking about there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah,
I need to go back and check that, because I remember, because it was very seldom or ever rare until you seen Mosley get into the latter half of his career getting put down like that. It's because he got put right across the ring.
He was close to getting stopped. He was close to getting stopped. I thought
he kind of staggered right across the ring.
Yeah, it
Mosley was the air, wasn't he? Like
yeah. He was. Yeah, the boys are debating it in the chat here. Yeah, Corey Spinks is out of place, Lee, but Chuckwe was desperate to get him in, so I had to. Mosley was in last week's in the light middleweights. It's not necessarily the best fighters. I'm not trying to jam them all in. Just trying to mix and match styles and, fellas who may be a little bit different. So it's not an exact science. It's just something to talk about, really. Forrest struggled with Carlos Baldemir. Yeah, that was up at 154, I think, wasn't it?
It was.
I can't remember. Anywho, right, where are we at then? So we got Napoles, Hearns, Leonard and Forrest. Let's put it into the mixer, into the bingo machine, shall we? And we have Aussie coming up for you. Tommy Hearns against Vernon Forrest. Tommy Hearns against Vernon Forrest is semi-final numero uno. Who you got, Aussie?
I've probably got to go with Tommy Hearns. I don't see. Again, I think it's tough because, as Andy mentioned, then you can't really think, looking back at. Oh no, it wasn't about that. Sorry, it was someone else. No, I'd go with Tommy Hearns. I think he's probably one of the best 147s that has been around. Good punch, good box. What did he have? what was it, something like 50 knockouts in 67 fights. So he got some serious power. It's quick, but not huge. What was he really? It wasn't, you know, like you didn't look at him, you know, he's a massive 147, but very slender, decent style. I think he just had probably a bit too much for Forrest, in my opinion. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I think Thomas Hearns as well, known for Leonard said it about him. He one of his notable qualities, I think it was because of his height, he was able to get the left hook off quite easily at 147. And he led with a left hook, which is quite a difficult thing to do. So he had that in his armory as well. I think he knocked out Juan Domingo Rodan with a similar shot. But man, yeah, what a fighter! Like, I think he probably have too much for Forrest power wise as well. But could be hard. Could be hard.
I remember that Pipo Cuevas fight. That was a serious fighter coming up, by the way. I think he had a few defeats in his record at that time. I think Hearns won the title off him, actually, Pipo Cuevas. Just dig up my man for a minute here, but there was some words going about that Duran's team actually tried to swerve the Cuevas fight. And incidentally, Leonard, who Duran ended up fighting for the title, he actually wanted to fight Cuevas in a unification fight, but Don King had a wee bit different thing to say about that. So he phones up the WBA and fucking says that they're trying to do a dirty on Panama's pride and joy, Duran. So in the end, Cuevas ended up pulling out the fight with undisclosed injury. Wonder what happened there.
Don't know what you could be insinuating there, Andy. Fine fella as he is. Good job boxing's cleaner than when King was involved. That's one thing we can all be thankful for. Right, Tommy Hearns has gone through to the final then. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen in this final, don't you? Freaking hell, you can see it a mile off. Right, Andy, semi-final number 2.
Oh, you cunt.
Jose Napoles against Sugar Ray Leonard. Jose Napoles against Sugar Ray Leonard.
2 ATGs. Jesus Christ, man. I mean, I know Napoles lost his title and regained it, but he lost it on the old cut rule. And they beat everybody that put in front of him. You know, Heisman Lewis, you know, Emil Griffith. I'm going to go with Leonard. I just think speed, movement, it's a dog fight as well at the same time. As I say, Napoles would do everything he could do to try and win the fight, but so could Leonard. You know, we're talking peak Leonard as well. And even if he was behind on the cards, invariably he'd always be in the fight, and you know he would probably dig out. I'm going to go Leonard on points. That's a hard one for me because, as I say, I'm really starting to kind of grow into a man love for Jose Napoles and that as well. You know, a guy who up the middleweight. Tried to be great like a lot of these fighters.
He fought Monzon, didn't he, Andy?
Fought Monzon, yep. Fought Monzon, came back down in weight, defended his title another, 4 or 5 times, got old, and Johnny H. Tracy beat him in that. But it's a great fighter, as I say. But I'm going to say Leonard. I just think speed, movement, timing. Yeah, I just think as well as if ever he was hurt, please, I just really believe Leonard would have that killer instinct and he would take you out. I mean, that Davy Boy Green knockout's always etched in my brain as to how he ended that fight. Hit him with 2 left hooks. The second one just basically iced him. So I think if he was to do that, he could
Lalonde as well.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
Behind on the at 68, catch weight at 68. Yeah, fucking. But like, I think it was 164 maybe, but like even still, he's natural welterweight. Like, so he fucking the finish in that fight was unbelievable. When he smelled blood, you're right. Like when Leonard smelled blood, that's it for you. Like if he gets you on the hook, Thomas Hearns is the same thing. Gets you on the hook, he's going to get you. He couldn't quite get Hearns out of there in the second fight, and Hearns probably won that fight. But other than that, have you ever seen Leonard definitively lose apart from Duran? You know, it's fucking Terry Norris. Yeah, but I mean, come on, like fucking. Terry Norris, he's 150 by the time he fights Terry Norris. Like, I actually have the paper. I have the newspaper clippings from that somewhere. I was devastated, absolutely devastated when Leonard lost that. It was like you said earlier about Benn. I was at the same age as 10. Like, and Leonard was fucking the man. Like Leonard was the man back then. Like, so it was tough. That was tough to see Terry Norris smash him to fucking pieces.
But it says I didn't want to underrate Napoles. Just go watch him if you didn't believe what I'm saying. The guy was fucking tremendous, man. Those Curtis Coates fights were tremendous.
Just before we go on to the final, then Knockout Box says, "What's the 140 lineup?" I haven't come up with it yet, so if you want to jump in and send one, then by all means, that's Stephen Wellings STVEN on Twitter. Go ahead.
The boys think we're a fucking computer or something. Like it's fucking auto. It's auto. Hold on, we're just going to ask the machine. It's going to generate them in the background. Fucking human beings. It's not artificial intelligence running the fucking pod, asshole.
Is Josh Taylor included, mate? That's all we need to know.
And of course, the winner of all the tournaments is now forever going to be coached by Ben Davison or someone MTK approved trainer
in Bahrain headliners.
Yeah,
from live from the Bahrain bunker.
Oh fucking hell!
Okay, then Rob, let's move on to the final. See who's going to be crowned the welterweight champion. Nothing like picking a fantasy winner when the finalists have fought twice already as professionals. We've got Sugar Ray.
Yeah, but surely
that was the fucking final.
Surely Hearns wins this time.
So yeah. Apparently, Hearns has never got over the fucking fact that he never got the W on his record over Leonard.
There's Hagler, man.
Regularly phones him up and be like, "What do you weigh right now?"
I don't know, mate, but I could talk better than you just now. So just shut up, hang up the phone.
You hear me now or no?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, obviously Leonard gets the edge on Hearns because he got the edge on him in the fight. That's over 15 rounds, over 12 rounds at 160 or 160. Was it over 160 even when they fought the second time?
I think it was over 160, mate. I think
68 maybe. So the two of them are not in their prime at that stage, and Hearns almost got him. Should have got it on the cards. Dropped him twice. Didn't get it. Leonard had big rounds, but they weren't 10-8 rounds, but some of the judges gave him 10-8 rounds, which is what swung it, I think, on the night. But Leonard showed in that fight too the killer instinct, even at 68, like he was going after him when he had him hurt. And
You've muted yourself, Roberto.
Sorry. I said then if the first fight is a 12-rounder, Hearns wins the first fight, history's changed. So who knows? What the fuck do I know?
Yep. Okay. Well done, Ray Leonard. Another accolade to add to your trophy cabinet. You've won the tournament. Okay, Rob, Andy, and Ozzy. Let's go on to Bellew of the Week. Just before we go on to Bellew of the Weeks, actually, we've seen AJ in some kind of knee brace. Andy, do we have any idea what's going on there? Is he okay?
Well, I think he's in the knee brace after all that running he's been doing for Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, I think that's why he's in the knee brace. No, but to be honest, I've actually got a mate who's actually kicking about one of those. Actually, he did his cruciate ligament and playing football. So I think it maybe looks like a ligament injury, because if you look at the actual support of that thing, it's actually all geared up to supporting the part around about the knee as well. So it's going to be a ligament issue, I think, and stuff. Which, if Eddie's hoping to try and get that Fury fight made this year, I wouldn't be too hopeful at this point. It doesn't look good anyway. No saying it's going to cause any issues and that, but issues for the fight happening anytime soon? Nah, it's not going to. Obviously, with the pandemic and that, we're not going to see the big fights happening anyway. So it might be a blessing in disguise. Maybe he's took the option to get maybe it's an underlying issue. Who knows? He's decided to go and get an operation on it. But hopefully it's not too serious, because obviously I want to see the Fury fight get made. The two big guys, 1 and 2. So let's get it on. When the two guys are both fit and ready to go for it.
Absolutely. Hopefully AJ gets well soon. Nearly forgot, Ozzy, about our Hatton Tszyu before you reminded me about that one 15 years ago, 22,000 packed in, great night off the back of Hatton's WBU title reign. It was a superb performance by Ricky. Tszyu was a serious operator. He was banging people out for fun. Any thoughts back on the fight? I must admit, I didn't watch it, but I was reading up on it earlier, so some preparation was involved.
I think you summarised it in just a short statement, Stephen. You said what a brilliant performance it was. Hatton was by no, a lot of people were picking Tszyu to win that fight, and Hatton, for me, it came at the perfect time. But not only that, I thought the matchmaking prior to it was ideal. I think that Ray Oliveira fight was perfect going into it. Oliveira was tough. Had done the rounds, operated at a very good level. And I think that was the perfect fight going into, kind of made him ready for the Tszyu fight. He obviously, I think it was at the final eliminator against Stewart where he basically pasted him, didn't he? Over 5 rounds.
Yeah, Stewart was crap, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then I'm sure, I can't remember if it was a final eliminator or whatever. And then he comes in and to then put in a career best performance against Kostya Tszyu. I mean, made him quit on his stool. Started off rapidly, didn't he? I'm sure. Did he wobble Tszyu in the first, or was it more like just a bit of a balance issue? I'm sure Hatton came out, like straight out the blocks and put it on.
He did. Away. He did, because Tszyu was a notoriously slow starter and that, so I think that's the reason why Hatton came out kind of quick and that. I think you're right. I think it's more a balance issue though, eh?
Yeah, I don't think it was, like Bambi on ice type of legs, more just, a bit caught cold, as you say, slow starter, and it kind of set the tone for the fight anyway. Hatton coming forward, landing shots, certainly took his own few shots as well. But as we say, it was everything what Hatton had been built up for. They could have took the fight, prior to that. I remember watching an interview with both Ricky Hatton and Frank Warren, and Hatton was pushing for that fight about 18 months prior. And it was Warren who said, no, we're going to get a couple more fights in and we'll time it right. Timing was the perfection. And it was a truly tremendous performance. And as we said, what was it, 22,000 there at 2 a.m. I think it was because of that, because of obviously the deal with the American TV. What a brilliant performance, and probably one of the most iconic's not the right word, but I think memorable, from a British boxing perspective. With everything around it, and Tszyu being such a big name, coming over, obviously Hatton having, all that support and everything. Just a great fight and a brilliant performance by Ricky Hatton.
How much do you think that fight took out of Hatton, by the way? I think he was ever the same fighter again.
He took some shots and he got right up for it, didn't he?
He did. He was right off for that fight. But this is probably a bit of a benefit of hindsight, actually. But I think that fight took a fair bit out of him, actually. I don't think he was the same fighter after that. Tszyu was... Okay, he was at the back end and a few injury problems and that as well, but he was still a solid fight. Pound for pound ranked, I'm sure, still at that time as well.
Yeah, he did have a lot of injury problems, you're right, because he's supposed to fight Sean Bay Mitchell about 3 times, wasn't he?
Yeah, he fought him twice at least. I think he knocked him out the second time, did he know?
He did. I mean, Tszyu was...
Yeah, it's supposed to happen in Russia, I think, but his knee
Tszyu
was bad.
so highly thought of at the time. So highly thought of. I mean, we're talking about the fight earlier between him and Zab Judah. Beating Zab Judah is no mean feat at that time. Knocking him out the way he did it, he was fantastic. But he'd had an 18-month layoff, hadn't he, in the run-up to the Hatton fight. And who was the ref that night? Was it Howard Foster?
No, it was Big.
O'Connor?
It was Big. What do you call him? Big Dave Paris. Dave Paris. No,
well, Dave looked like he was refereeing a straightener outside now for most of the nights that night, because he let Hatton, to say he let him work was a bit of a fucking understatement. Like he and I know Floyd made reference to that in the build up to his fight, and that's why Joe Cortez was so apprehensive, because Floyd never shut up about how the referee, you're fighting in Vegas now and the referee's not going to let you wrestle and headbutt the guy all night. I think that's doing him a bit of a disservice. I think it was, like as he said, a career best from Ricky Hatton. I expected him to lose that fight. I fully expected Kostya Tszyu to get the job done, but he was relentless that night. He was like a man possessed, and he wasn't going to let his opportunity go. And you love to see that with the home fighter, when they get the fight made in their backyard. The thing with Hatton was he was WBU champion, as Steve said. Nobody gave a fuck about the WBU. He had to beat Kostya. He had to have his definitive dance partner, and he got that under the lights on his home patch. So he deserved that night. And he's right. I know I clown him for talking about it, but he's right to make reference to that, because that's a hell of a moment for. And a lot of casuals as well came to the sport from Hatton before the AJ era.
Yeah, it'd be insufferable these days, actually, wouldn't it?
Got a bit tasty, Andy, at one point, didn't it? Kostya hit him low, and I think Hatton went back and then hit him low, didn't he, in the mid-fight?
And that's the way you do it.
That's
you don't cover it. Someone hits you fucking low, hit him back low. That's it.
Exactly, but I think the Tszyu had I think he had a low blow before that, actually. Then when the second one landed, like hands like fuck this shit, straight in there, bang, fucking down goes Tszyu and stuff. Like in the days, if you're going to get a point taken off you, just start complaining. Well, why the fuck do you take a point off? I mean, he's hit me twice. So obviously you're fighting at home in that, but I don't know. I think both sides had a bit of issues with legal tactics and stuff like that, you know. But at the end of the day, it's a fucking fight. It's no, you know, at the end of the day, it's doing the referee. If the referee's willing to let it kind of slide, then fucking get on with it, you know. At the end of the day, yeah, as you say, it's no Kovalev style. It's no, they're no bitching and moaning about it. They're just basically got them going with it. I think I was listening to Ricky Hatton. Was on BBC 5 Live podcast a couple of weeks ago with Mike Costello and Steve Bunce doing a kind of a live rerun of the fight and stuff. And Ricky always came out with the fact is that I think it was Billy Graham had advised him, said, Rick, if you go and put the pressure on him, just stick it on him the whole night, beat him up. He says the trainer, I think it was Johnny Lewis, was the trainer. Kostya says, if you fucking put it on him, he says he treats Tszyu like his own son. I think they've been together for like 5 years, like amateur days or whatever and stuff. He says, put it on him. He says he will pull him out at the end of the day because he loves him like a son. If you just do it, he says he will pull him out. And in the end, what happened?
He did.
He put a towel on.
Don't think they spoke for a while, did they? Tszyu was angry about that, I think.
He was angry, but at the end of the day, well,
I
suppose it was.
I think it was. Yeah, Johnny Lewis had been involved right from the beginning, but I think it was the right decision. Okay, so next week, what we're going to do, Corrales, wasn't it? Not Corrales Mayweather. What was
Corrales
it?
Castillo.
Corrales Castillo.
1 and 2.
Yeah, I will watch that one. Might watch both, who knows. Okay, episode 376, Belly of the Weeks. Rob's with us, Andy's with us, Aussie's with us. First nomination going to Heavy D, whoever this chap is. My 2 favourite pastimes, he says. Training and spitting bars at the same time. Sam Jones. Oh, fucking hell, he's a character all in himself. You are in trouble.
Just what we need.
Big up to Stay Focus. Can't wait for the studio tomorrow. Let's go. Graham Taylor has nominated him for that. I've got a nomination of my own here, guys, for Frank Smith talking about AJ Fury on YouTube. AJ is still the commercial A-side of any fight, says Frank Smith. Parroting Eddie got 121 dislikes on the old YouTube video. Poor Frank Smith.
So we're not talking A-sides anymore. We're talking commercial A-sides. Listen, I don't want to get into it, but I could. But I'm going to fucking leave it. But there could be, the commercial side of things could fall apart. I'll just leave it at that. But for fuck's sake, man, A-sides, cut the pish, get it fucking made. That's what we're going to say.
They've always said as well, Fury's camp, 50-50 and we'll take it.
Yeah.
Frank was out, this week and saying, I've always said 50-50 is fair, and it is. And 50-50 will get that fight made.
So are you implying, Oz, that if one side was to now come to the table and demand a 60-40, that this fight might not happen?
Correct, mate. Correct.
Oh, could it not be another Kell Brook situation here, do you think?
Might be. Who knows?
No, I heard there's some good guys involved taking care of it. It's all
commercial A-side. Oh.
Yeah.
Without the mystery man, the mystery Dubai man, this fight would be nowhere near happening. So,
yeah, I mean, fucking top rank, Roy Jones, top fella. He's saying he's a great guy. Oh, they're all at it today, like everybody.
Absolutely.
I've been finding some.
That was the final signal for me to get on board when Roy gave the call sign. That was it.
Yeah,
that was it for me. I was sealed.
So was he watching his Russian passport?
Well, I was going to say actually, see when this shit was.
It's all right for him. He can go to Moscow.
Well, I was just going to say that actually, see when this shit was breast vertical by. That's when Roy's going to be going. Fucking first fight to land a Putin.
Hiding in Siberia.
Oh man.
In the gulag. Moving on, BoxingScene.com are reporting Golden Boy are considering Anthony Durrell as Canelo's next opponent. That's a bit of a smoke screen. I heard Derevanchenko apparently as well was being thrown.
Yeah, I seen a former guest of the show, Ray Glazer, saying Ray Glazer. What's his fucking name?
Rick Glazer.
Rick Glazer saying that Durrell was not an option, but it's definitely cheaper compared to Saunders. Anyway, put it that way.
Mm-hmm,
that won't happen without a crowd.
Nah.
No. That's even though Saunders doesn't exactly have the pull, but I'm surprised they're even looking to get Canelo out with potentially no crowd because his purses are outrageous.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't really know how they're going to make that happen.
No,
I don't think Derevanchenko would be a bad fight.
Can I say something by the way? Derevanchenko, I rewatched that Golovkin fight about a month ago, and I'll tell you what,
mate, you can argue with me.
Golovkin put, I know, but Golovkin also at the same time put a bit of a beating on him at the same time.
Yeah.
you don't know what it took out of him.
I'd say it took a lot out of him at his age, and they made the the
Yeah.
hard
I
fights
was early
anyway.
30s now, eh?
Golovkin.
No.
No, he's
I-
about 38.
Divachenko, I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah. Sorry.
You know one thing for certain, Canelo won't be taking any fight that they think he can lose quickly on this his own deal. They're going to milk that one, and rightfully so.
Oh, he's golden boy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Who the fuck
DAZN
is
paying
left
out
for
the big
Canelo to
bucks.
fight? There's only Golovkin left for him to fight again. Nobody really wants to fucking see that fight, apart from the casuals. It keeps getting thrown up there. It's going to be a search for 2021.
I'll
That ship is
disagree with you
fucking
there.
sailed, man.
I'll disagree with you there, mate, because I think we discussed it a couple of weeks back, the second fight, and I forgot as to how good that rematch was. Actually, I'm saying to myself, maybe because I was the same. I was the same as you, though. I was the same as you. I was like, I'm not wanting to see a third fight because Golovkin won the first fight.
Golovkin slipped, but he slipped, man. He slipped. I believe he
But it
won
was
the
still
first
a
fight
great
too.
fight, eh? It was still a great fight. I'm saying to myself, that was better than what I thought it was. What I can recall better at the time of it being live.
Maybe from the point of view you don't want to see Golovkin go on and get tanked, because I think he will get tanked in the third fight. I think he'll get definitively fucking smashed up in the third fight. Canelo, after we going up to 75 and all, it's just going to be there's too much stacked in Canelo's favour for Golovkin, and he's going to have regressed more by 2021. No, I can't see it.
Well, sure, he's done it all along. Look at the first fight, how long they dragged it for, and then the second fight, there was the whole drug testing. Ames says, I don't want to see it again. I can't see how you cannot see it. They signed Golovkin under the impression that they were going to make that third fight. Yeah. What else can they do? It has to happen.
Well, apparently Oscar sold DAZN on signing Canelo on a third fight with Golovkin anyway. So, and Canelo was pissed off with this. Apparently,
yeah, it was built on sand because they said they wanted Golovkin and they signed him up based on the fact he was guaranteed to fight Canelo. But Canelo isn't guaranteed to fight anybody. So I think he's digging his heels in and saying, I'm not going to fight him again because apparently he doesn't like him now. That fight's not set in stone as far as Canelo's concerned. But Derevyanchenko, I think he'd give him a good fight. Anthony Durrell as well. Both advised by Al Heyman, creaming off that DAZN money as usual. Praise be to Al.
Praise be here. Even in a day.
Even in a day.
I'll tell you what, though. It's a pleasant surprise. I mean, I'm not keen on the Durrell fight, but that Derevyanchenko was mentioned. It is a pleasant surprise that they are looking at that sort of caliber for Canelo and they're not, pulling in these randomers now because there's no crowd there and, they'll bung them a small purse, because it's difficult to make the fights. It is a pleasant surprise that they are looking at the likes of Derevyanchenko.
To be honest, he is the face of the sport, really, isn't he?
Yeah, but mate, this is boxing. No one cares. They literally, promoters don't care, do they? They know Canelo will sell on anything. But yeah, you are right. He is a
okay. Yeah. Terry Woodfine has thrown in Tony Bellew talking for Dana White when Dana was asked a question. Clearly, Dana White had no idea what the fuck Bellew was saying, but listening to Bellew stating that there has to be no more gimme fights in combat sports, easy to say when you're retired and bottled the WBSS, says Terry, going in on old Tony there. Porky was in touch nominating a few of the Joshua versus Fury predictions. A few on points for Matthew Macklin, Jamie Moore and Darren Barker. Anthony Crolla thinks Fury will knock him out in the 9th round. Now we're getting into the big boys here. Mm-hmm. Spencer Oliver, Mr. Neutral, thinks Joshua will knock him out in round 10. Johnny Nelson, get ready for the breakdown, also thinks Joshua will knock him out in round 10. And Tony, mates with the stars, Bellew, thinks that Anthony Joshua will knock Fury out in round 5 or 6.
There's a huge surprise. There's a huge surprise. All the MTK affiliated guys went with Fury and all the Sky affiliated guys went with Joshua. What's going on?
Fucking flim-flam. Listen to this. One man has 3 belts, the other has 1. Tyson Fury is the man because he's undefeated. No one has shut him up yet. No one's beaten him. The straight response from Fury would be, you've lost, I haven't. He's got a draw, but hasn't been beaten since. It's not rocket science.
You're a hater!
Fuck off, Porky. I mean, Jesus Christ, he just basically says Tony Bellew explains why Tyson Fury is a better heavyweight than Anthony Joshua. I mean, fucking hell, Tony, I want to leave you alone, mate, but stop fucking talking.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, might see Tony turning up again later. Jimmy Bellew of the weeks, who knows? Who knows? I can't remember who nominated this, but anyway, Boxing Talk with Aid. Apparently it's a YouTube channel, never watched it. I asked Dillian Whyte a WBC question for Sky Sports and he went mad, so they cut it out, says Boxing with Aid. So I'm a nomination for Dillian Whyte there. Ben Thorns has nominated BoxRec for its all-time top 10. I've screenshotted it and I can't. So it must be going. I can't actually, to be honest. Oh yeah, Ben Thorns has nominated the Sky Joshua Fury predictions as well. Judas has nominated Tony Bellew, explaining why Tyson Fury is better heavyweight than Anthony Joshua. Here's a good one. What about this one then, Rob? Mark Kriegel. Haven't seen this guy for a while, unfortunately. He says Shakur Stevenson is actually more difficult to hit than Floyd Mayweather was. Mark Kriegel has been impressed with Shakur's defensive instincts at 22
he
years
looked
old.
good outside the fucking garage, all right, at 2 o'clock in the morning. Defensive instincts.
Slipped her left hand.
How could you say that, man? See the shit that this fella talks, Kriegel. He would just say
elite storytelling.
Anything. He'd say anything. How could you say that about Shakur Stevenson? We haven't even seen him have a fight yet. Like, really, fuck's sake. The last fight, all right. The guy he's with his sister or whatever, isn't he? Your man's sister. There was a bit of a storyline to it, but that wasn't a fight. Like to judge him on to say that he's good enough to fucking compete with Floyd Mayweather's defensive skills. They need to get rid of him, man. ESPN, if they want to have any fucking credibility, get rid of him, like, or whatever fucking network he's with. Who's he with? DAZN or
ESPN?
Yeah. ESPN, yeah. Get rid of him. Like, they need to bring the old crew back. Like, go and get Jim Lampley from somewhere, shake him up, dust off Max Kellerman, get them all back together. This is bullshit. Like,
let me tell you something. Adrian Broner, right, in the ring, his last win, I think, was it Adrian Granados, I think, 2017? Somebody check that for me.
Big time win, that
right.
one.
Big time win. But when Kriegel starts getting an L of Broner, which, if anybody remembers, that actually was a time when, you remember that? It's time to retire, I think, So when Baby Bro decides to fucking clown your ass, yeah.
I'm sure fucking Baby Bro's in there this week anyway. Did you see his Instagram? He said when his album blows up and goes platinum, he wants all the motherfuckers that wrote him off to keep the same energy when he comes back to boxing. So, don't when Broner eclipses the Beatles, don't come around him trying to act like it's cool. You're not going to the club with him and Javante Davis and Robert Easter Jr. and the Charlos. You're not in that gang. Just relax. You weren't down with him when he was at his lowest, and Andy. So that means you're not going to be going to any of the after parties for this fucking platinum album. When it
absolutely
hits the
not, mate. I want to see my boy getting his 10 million. That's what I want to see him getting.
I'm behind him all the way, personally.
Yeah, I'm the same.
If he can get 10 million for a fight, man, I'm behind him as well. Fucking hell. The biggest heist in history, that would be.
I'll tell you what, I'll make a declaration on the podcast. If Adrian Broner gets $10 million for his next fight, I'll go to it. I'll go to it.
And he'll be burning fucking hundreds in the strip club with a big Michael Jordan cigar.
Could be partying with AB. He's a good lad, really. He's misunderstood. Me and AB are tight. Did you see Tris Dixon putting up the old article from when I interviewed AB, and he's going back on the straight and narrow, aged 19? Good times, man.
AB couldn't last with me in the club, by the way. You get the champagne, the whiskey, no chance would he last with me.
Only Earl Spence could last with you, baby.
Even then, I still get the car home in one piece.
Fucking right.
Yeah, well done, AB. Moving on, Liam Jordan has thrown it's a bit more of a rant than a nomination. He says, don't know where to start with this. Is Tony Bellew on the ultimate troll with this? I just want to be left alone and have a quiet life. I'm not even trying to search for him, but he finds me every time. He's on every boxing podcast, papers, TV channels, radio channels, every fucking day. The man won a vacant title in a quarter-full home stadium. Fair dues. He knew Hay was shot to shit, so set him up money-wise for life, then got KO'd easy, so fuck off. The question is this the luckiest, most fortunate boxer in the Matchroom era? Help. Liam Jordan raises some good points there.
He's look, end of the day, look, he became a world title holder. That wasn't a fucking fluke, man. He iced, as Rob says, go back and listen. I listened to that podcast, Rob. It says, Tony Bellew iced a man like he's never been iced before, by the way. And it's fucking true. That was a proper, serious, chilling knockout, by the way.
See, we give Bellew his props. We
exactly.
give Bellew his props when he deserves them, but when he gets pelters because of it.
One thing about that...
Bellew iced all the hardcores that night, though, didn't he, as well as McCarby?
Yeah, but he got off his ass. He made Kyle McLaughlin delete his Twitter account, for fuck's sake.
One thing, Billy Nelson, obviously, Martin McCauley is that Ilunga Makabu's brother or something like that, or cousin. Yeah. Billy Nelson always comes out and says that Ilunga Makabu bust his knee ligaments prior to that in the round before.
Right.
His knee had given way. I mean, there's no evidence to suggest that, as in he didn't look.
Well, he got hit on the fucking chin. So
Andy's right.
It's academic.
Old. It was a brutal finish.
Talk about get hit on the chin. Actually, I'm actually watching Mancini against Arguello the other day there, right? And Mancini gets fucking dropped in the 12 from the right hand, and he gets up and he walks away like he's gone to the bar for a fucking pint. He's fucking gas.
Remember that.
Sorry, Oz. Oh fuck.
No, it's okay. Yeah, nothing to apologise for.
Oh dearie me, what a shot that was.
Nothing to apologise for, apart from Bellew back in the public eye. Someone suggested to Al Bernstein on his new podcast that he should get Tony Bellew on the podcast. That's a good idea, says Al. We will work on it. We'll have a nice visit from Glenn McCrory a couple of shows ago. Jack Henry jumped in and says, don't, Al. Bellew doesn't want to be in the public eye anymore. He just wants to live a normal life. And Al Bernstein replied, I didn't know he doesn't want to do interviews anymore. I thought I saw him interviewed recently.
That must have been a rare find. Was really digging in the fucking crates for that one.
Archives.
Oh, shit.
Oh, dear, that was a good one. David Allman nominated that one for Al. Also, they were talking about getting a Blue Peter badge. Enzo Macronelli has a Blue Peter badge, apparently, and Glenn McCrory was congratulating him. And he said that he did the same on Jim Will Fix It, so hopefully he got away unscathed.
Glenn McCrory fucking say anything, would he? Fucking hell. I'm going to tell you, he was brilliant on the commentary, though. Some of those nights with Glenn McCrory, you'd rather have him back than some of the shit they have these days. Like, give Glenn a few fucking pints, stick him on the fucking chair there with a dag, let him rip.
Yeah, 100% agree. That's one of the good things about watching some of the broadcasts coming over to Sky from HBO. You do have Ian Darke and Glenn standing there in their shirts outside the arena beforehand and then doing the old commentary. Good times with Ian Darke and Glenn. Those times are over, Andy. Manny Pacquiao said he might fight Golovkin, according to Freddie Roach.
That was one of my recommendations. Well, it was going to be my recommendation, actually. Yeah, so basically, according to Freddie Roach, that one thing Manny, he doesn't just want to beat anybody. He wants to beat the best out there. He wants to beat the top guys. He wants to fight like Mikey Garcia, for example. But the thing is, Manny might want to go a little bit higher in weight, might fight Triple G or one of those guys who's supposed to be the best. Would not advise him to go to 160. It's a little crazy, so we put him at 147. It's just, I think Roach is just he's confirmed in the past. He's full of shit at times. He's got a big mouth and that. Fucking Pacquiao's got no business at 160. Fuck me, man. He's barely got business at 147 at this point in his life. Never even back when he was in his prime, for Christ's sake, man. Just leave the guy alone. That's one guy you need to leave alone. Never mind Bellew. It's Pacquiao. That's one guy needs to retire and that. But I mean, still beating these kind of B-level journeyman gatekeepers, so to speak, and that. I think he's going to keep going.
Well, you might not be giving him much of a chance, but former Bellew of the Week nominee, Be Real TV does. He says that Manny Pacquiao beats Triple G at 160. We've been informed of this by Andrew McCormick. So Be Real TV is giving Manny a chance. Okay, David Allman has nominated Amir Khan. Cleaning the house and found this certificate I was awarded in 2015 of July by Bolton University, says Amir, a Doctor of Science. So well done to Amir. Yeah, Doctor of Science. Just who we need advising us. Joseph Ajayo, Toby's nominated him. Yeah, Joe, the Doctor's completely lost the plot. What about this one then, Ozzy? Trading the Boxing has nominated Dave Allen for putting up a video of himself during the Bracamonte fight, a highlight package showing how good he is. Most of the shots are actually Dave taking shots. So it's when you make your own highlights package, and part of it shows you getting absolutely twatted.
Best highlight reel since Homer Simpson.
Oh dear. Good old Dave. Have you seen that one, Ozzy, no?
I haven't, no. I'm going to go and watch it though, no.
Yeah.
It's on his Twitter. Tim Bradley, Rob.
Nobody was on. Was it on Twitter or was it on his
oh, no, sorry. I think it's actually on Instagram. I think it's on Instagram. Yeah.
Right. I will take a look.
Not an Instagram user myself, but not judging anybody who is. Rob, nomination for Tim Bradley. He's on the Mark Kriegel train. They're obviously pushing the narrative here for Shakur Stevenson returning on June the 9th. It's not just Mark Kriegel, but Bradley says he compares Shakur to Floyd Mayweather in the state of boxing, some state by the sound of it. So another comparison, first from Kriegel, now from Tim. They might be pushing a narrative, Rob. I'm not accusing him of anything, but that's what I'm getting here.
Provodnikov fucking stole his fucking soul.
Mayweather won't be happy about this because didn't Shakur Stevenson say something to one of the sister wives before, the sister wives who do the sister knives job? Mayweather, didn't he have some derogatory things to say about her before? So I don't think Floyd would be happy with those comparisons. He might go and train fucking Shakur Stevenson's arch nemesis, fucking Michael Conlan, in a spiteful move that wouldn't be typical of Floyd Mayweather, who promotes Gervonta Davis but is now seen regularly training his biggest fucking rival, Devin Haney. Fucking hell, man. Floyd, he'd do anything, wouldn't he? Fucking hell. He's so petty, like.
Fucking snidey man, that one. Proper fucking snide.
Fuck's sake. Here, Devin, you want to jump in this fucking YouTube clip? Oh, sure, Floyd. The fucking Gervonta's at home, put his foot through the fucking TV.
Rob, any nominations from you? I know you have to go. If not, go ahead with your pick.
No, just for everybody who's hating on my boy AB, who has a better chance of getting 10 million for that fight than he has from a platinum fucking rap album. I tell you that, I've heard his music. Fucking hell. He thinks his fights are bad. Fuck me.
Collaboration opportunity, Rob. Collaboration.
He wouldn't be able to pay me. He'd want to get the 10 mil for the fight first and then split it with me. Right, so look, I'll let you go because my battery's about to die.
Cheers, Rob. All the best now. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank
you, mate.
Yep. Cheers. Good man, Rapping Rob Kelly is gone, but not forgotten. Any nominations from you, Andy? I think Boxing First might have tracked down the Dave Allen video. He records it from a laptop on his mobile phone. I like that. I'm a big fan of people who record videos on the phone and then upload it. That's a plus in my book. Any nominations, Andy?
No, mate, I was just going to put up that one that you just mentioned at the end there, Bradley, about the Mayweather situation, the Shakur Stevenson, and the Pascal Golovkin comments by Roach. That was the two that I was mentioning. But I would go for what was one of the very early ones you mentioned, actually. Maybe the third on the list, I think it was.
It wasn't Frank Smith going on about the commercial A side, was it?
The commercial A side, but there's another one as well, I think, after that.
Was it possibly Boxing by Aid? Durrell being considered as Canelo's next opponent? No. Bellew talking to Dana White. The Sky Sports list of who they think would win out of Joshua Fury. Kriegel talking Shakur.
No, I think Smith commercial A side. I think that was quality, by the way. You know, it's not about A sides. It's new been broken down to commercial A sides. Next week you'll be telling me it's about TV deals, so it'll be like Fury will be with the A side because he's got the ESPN, which is mere reach and what a load of bollocks. Commercial A side. Just get the fucking fight made. Can you imagine Ali, Frazier, and Foreman that like, back in the day? Oh well, you know he's on the commercial A side, so I'm gonna have to get the 60%. You know, fuck off. Just fuck off. Fucking hell.
Late nomination coming in from me for Chukwu for constantly obsessing over Corey Spinks. I'm not sure what this obsession. I'd rather hear him talking about Judge Judy again, so we're gonna have to nip this in the bud, I think.
I take Jason, send me a DM on Twitter to see what fight that I should be watching of Corey Spinks that I have never seen that is absolutely must watch. And then am I right in saying? Do you remember Spinks? He was like watching grass grow, man. He was boring as hell. Mate, I would rather. It's like one of those moments where I used to watch Corey Spinks that I would sit there and I'd be wanting to put my fingers through my eye into my brain and swirl it around like a fucking grinder and then pour it into an empty glass and fucking drink it. That was the type of fucking fighter he was to watch.
Would you rather watch Paul Farah against Ronald Johnson or
Oliver, you're stretching your fucking limits here, boy.
Oh dear. Yeah. Ozzy, any from you?
No.
Okay, so who did Rob go for again? Did he go for Broner, I think, didn't he? Can't even remember, you know. Ugh. I will assume Rob went for Broner. And who did you go for again, Andy?
I went for Frank Smith for the commercial A side.
Frank Smith. I'm going for Bellew for multiple offences, but I liked the Al Bernstein confusion over whether he's doing interviews anymore. So that's going to be my for either Bellew or for Al Bernstein. Ozzy, front runner could be Dave Allen against Bracamonte for you, but who are you going for?
Yeah, I've just watched it. It's quite funny, actually. The first 2 rounds show Alan basically taking a load of shots, and then he drops Bracamonte, but it was with a low blow, and he gets bollocked off Howard Foster for it. So, yeah, it was quite funny. But, no, I've got to go with Frank Smith this week. It just seems like another stumbling block. We're, like I said, we're breaking it down into a commercial value now. So that's why Joshua deserves 60-40 type of thing. Get it 50-50.
Frank Smith, congratulations. Yep, Belly of the Week for episode 376. Frank Smith for multiple offences. He's probably due a win, to be honest with you. Thanks to everybody who's come on tonight. We shall close it up right there. Andy Patterson's been with us to the end. Ozzie Smith as well. Rapping Rob Kelly was on. Thanks to our guests, Kevin Agarko and Jordan Latimer, who joined us earlier on. We'll catch you all again, same time, same place next week. I've been Steve Wellings. Thank you for listening, and bye.
Woo!
Bean!